Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to Heartsinger Games. I'm Ann Richmond, aka Heartsinger, the head bard in charge round these parts, and I am joined again today by Caleb. Caleb Cleveland is back. Hello, welcome.
Hello, I'm like a bad penny. I'm always turning up.
He's always turning up. Ooh, you know what we don't have? We need some music, some chill, lo-fi beats, just to like create a nice little hang here. Hey, Chiron, thank you so much for that subscription. Welcome on in to stream today. So guys, if you guys don't remember, you weren't here last time, Caleb Cleveland is a new friend of mine, and we worked together on an awesome stream supporting his project with Hunters Entertainment, Gods of Metal Ragnarok, where we built a character for that game, and then Caleb, who is the artist, you're the artistic director, right?
That's right.
Yes. I was like, I remember everything. Like a steel trap. So Caleb is the artistic director.
Great job.
Yeah, you did a great job. You did. It was so fun. We had so much fun that we thought we'd do it again. And Caleb said the thing to me that I have always dreamed of someone who is good at art saying to me, which is, when can we stream more drawing characters? And I said, literally whenever you want.
Really sweet, really thoughtful and inviting, and thank you very much for doing this. This is going to be a treat.
I'm really excited. I mean, when somebody's like, "Can I draw with you?" I'm like, that's the dream. That is the dream. So we're trying to accomplish a couple of things today. Number one, we're going to nerd out over Curse of Strahd, because that is who this character, that is the game in which I am playing this character as a player character, but is also the game where she exists as an NPC and in which many people have opinions about her. So I figured, like, hot takes, let's hear them. But we're also going to talk to Caleb a little bit about what you need before you design a character and how you can get the results you want. I was kind of bringing up the idea that when a lot of times when people start trying to get character commissions, it can be really daunting because you'll just write a million things that are a love letter to the physicality and the personality of your character, and it's way too much for somebody to parse what you actually want. So we're going to get Caleb's take on that as well. And yeah, I kind of wanted to start by asking you, are you aware of or excited about Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, the new announced D&D title?
I am so excited, mainly because it's literally what everybody needs to see when it comes to Ravenloft. It's been updated, post-problematic things that have been written about the peoples of Ravenloft and the various cultures that have been trapped there over the aeons. Have been completely redone. They have a very diverse author list. My friend Strix, who is the author and the designer of the amazing role-playing game Bluebeard's Bride, which is this crazy not safe for work narrative experience, but it is a role-playing game that will test you. It is extremely it's just an amazing piece of art, and she has had some input into the game as well. I don't want to spoil anything, but the whole thing is just amazing, and you should definitely check it out. I'm really I'm just stoked.
It's really exciting. We did a little bit of a first reaction on Tuesday's stream when the announcement was made, and one of the things I'm really excited about is it just so much expands on the 30 domains of dread. So for anyone who's confused, because it's Castle Ravenloft and Ravenloft is in Barovia, but Barovia is in the domains of dread, which is also Ravenloft. Like, there's a naming path that probably wasn't the best thought out at the time, and is very confusing. So if you think buying this book is about just getting more Strahd, you will get a little more Strahd and a little more Barovia, but you'll get so much more than that. So I'm very excited. It is no secret to anyone who's been to this channel before that I play in a Curse of Strahd campaign that I've been playing in for about almost 2 years at this point, which is very exciting. And I've had some of those folks on to talk about our quest for greatness and to escape the mists, the ever-cloying mists of Barovia. And we've been unsuccessful so far. But one of the unique things about that is that I play Ireena, who is a classic Strahd NPC. And you can see the art, the original art from the book of Ireena on the screen right now, on the stream. So that's kind of where we're starting. But I take issue with a lot of things to do with Ireena. I think she is sort of an object for Strahd's affections and to further his story and to introduce the fact that, man, this guy sucks to somebody. True. And the way that she's sort of pathed out for the DM to use her in the story is very much, you know, you take her somewhere so somebody else can help her. Like she is treated as someone you must deliver somewhere and help, but she is not given a lot of ownership of her own feelings given the situation, given the fact that, by the way, we're going to be talking about spoilers in Curse of Strahd, so if you don't want to hear that, I totally get that. Come back and check the VOD, but I am going to talk about some things because I think they're important. But she is the representation of thousands of years of reincarnations of this woman, Tatiana, that Strahd was deeply in love with and is tortured because he could never, ever be with her for real. She chose a different person than Strahd originally in the story, and so he is now cursed by the powers he serves to forever be chasing for her, chasing after her, and she is reincarnated every generation in another woman, and that woman always dies horribly. So my Tatiana is a champion of all of those who came before, and she is destined to end that cycle and end that story, is what she believes. Well, it's what everybody else believes, and that's something we talk about a lot in our game. It's like, what is when you're a hero, like what is the length of your commitment to a cause? Thank you so much for that subscription, Stabby Tabby. Holy cow, 7 months is right. Thank you so much. Welcome back. So yeah, so let's talk about what Ireena looks like, so Caleb can get to the fun part of this for you guys, which is watching Caleb draw, and then we can talk a little bit more about who she is. So Caleb, tell us what you need when somebody gives you kind of a description for a commission.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, first off, there's a lot that goes into character design. I guess one of the main things to remember is that there's kind of I don't know, there's I mean, I actually teach this, so it's asking me about it is this is like a
Tell me in 2 seconds what your entire life's work is.
No, it's you need to be able to sort of tell the person. The most important thing is what is their role in the story, and in this case, they are in your case rather. They are a representative of every failing that has come before them, and they're aware of these failings, and they're there to stop it. So they need to look like they are equipped to stop it. So I need to know basically, gender, if any, age, if any, and if any of these things are applicable, race, of course, but mainly what is their job. And I don't mean like what they do for a living, but literally like what they do to serve the story. I need to know, there's a bunch of different things that goes into costume design, like and not just character design, but costume design as well. Are they dressed for utility? Are they dressed to seduce? Are they dressed to represent a certain class or a caste system?
Man, that's so helpful. I don't think I've ever thought about expressing it that way. Like I always think about what my character wears, but I've never, I don't think, given an actionable expression of that to an artist to interpret.
Well, these are some of the things that goes into the it's basically like a big equation to try and figure out how you can put all these different little variables together and come up with a suitable character that can serve the story. In this case, we need to look. I guess the idea is whenever I think of Irina, um, I immediately think of the character Elisabetta from Bram Stoker's Dracula. Elisabetta is this semi-historical figure that was the wife of Vlad the Impaler Dracula, who, if you live in Romania, is a national hero like Captain America. If you live anywhere else, they're a vampire. And Elisabetta was his wife. She apparently died tragically, and Bram Stoker turned that into this tragic sort of metamorphosis, and to give him some sort of sympathy, because they wanted him to be romantic as well as sexual and powerful and dangerous. So, and Winona Ryder's character, Mina Murray, or Mina Harker, I guess that's what that was her name in the book. Was meant to sort of resemble Elisabetta. Man, I need to stop stammering here.
You're doing great.
Thank you. Anyway, it sounds like they're trying to, in Curse of Strahd, they're trying to sort of like put a hook onto that. It's a great idea.
Absolutely. It's really awesome. It's really awesome.
It also kind of sucks because you've got this amazing female character that is essentially turned into an albatross around the neck of the bad guy. They're there to torment them and nothing else. They're destined to die horribly. Yeah. And I like the fact that you have taken that and turned it into the character's agency, something that their heart's desire, what they want to accomplish before the end of the story. Of course, if this is a tragedy, they probably won't accomplish it.
We don't know. We don't know yet.
Or if they do accomplish it, it'll be like some sort of monkey's paw effect where they nail it, but then another curse begins, and then they take the role of Strahd or something like that.
I mean, listen, I've considered it.
Look, I'm not here to screw up your story. I'm just here I'm here to call out tropes when I see them.
It's so true. It's so true. So let's talk about, like, as far as what does she serve in the story, right? She is the archetypal champion, right? She is the champion.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and so let's start with this then. Okay, so she is a good guy. Great, and she needs to look really like she is equipped in a heroic sort of way.
And she's in Dungeons and Dragons terms, for me, she is a paladin, and her oath is an oath of heroism.
Okay, paladins tend to be healers and tanks.
Yes,
mostly tanks.
Primarily a tank striker. So rather than having the sort of stereotypical sword and board, she wields a two-handed greatsword.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's super cool.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna clear that. No, she is super cool.
She's super cool. And as far as that goes, I think she's definitely, like, if you were looking at the archetypes of like different roles in the party, like, she tends to be the face. She's very much I would say dressed. You were like, how, like, dressed for utility, dressed for all these things. I would say she's dressed in a way that would allow her to fight and to live on the front lines. But she's also dressed to represent, that as paladins are, with like a livery, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. She'll have some sort of maybe like a tabard or a sash, something that where her devotion is front and center. Not only for protection and or to declare her devotion, but actually it might actually serve as like some sort of holy device that could save the day when all else fails.
Yeah, let's look at what are my magical items. She has, I will tell you, she along with that great sword, she has boots of flying, So she has cool boots with like wings on them, like Hermes style,
Sick.
which
Sick
is
kicks.
sick. And let's see. Let me pull up my thing here so everybody can see. You should be able to see my character now. I'm making sure that is true. It is. Haha, I did it. So here we go. Scrolling down, you can see all, not you can't, but they can.
I cannot see
They can
crap.
see. Yeah. It's on the stream. Her equipment, you know, who really counts equipment? Oh, she's got goggles of night. So she's got goggles, but I don't care if we include them. They're not. It's just she's a human. She can't see in the darkness. And I don't even like to think about the fact that she needs them. Yeah, those are primarily.
Maybe we can
like,
put them under a helmet or something.
Yeah, I think they can be, you know, like on her head, you know, like on her brow, you know, or they could be somewhere or not at all anywhere. Like they do not matter to me. I mean, they matter to me mechanically, but they don't matter to me in terms of how I like always envision this character, if that makes sense. The other thing that's important is that this version of Ireena is Vistani, which means that there's going to be a Romani influence to her appearance. Romani culture is a lineage that dates back to Punjabi heritage, which I believe is in like northern Indian. And so she definitely has very much a dark complexion and kind of bold features. And I also think on top of that, she has she has a tattoo on her forehead of an eye, which you can interpret however you want. It's a magical tattoo.
Nice.
And we can talk about why that is later. But yeah, that is an important physical trait. However else, this is something I believe also when I believe in this in terms of when I commission artists. I'm like, here's something, roll with it. Like, I would rather see their interpretation. I think it's going to get a lot more interesting to let somebody interpret something than to like strong arm them into like it must be exactly this and exactly here. I don't think that tends to work out as well. I don't know. What do you prefer, Caleb?
When you're taking suggestions from the commissioner, sometimes you have to listen. You have to be respectful. You have to respond to and or actually no. I guess it's more important to just understand what they really want. Because oftentimes they don't know what they really want. They a lot of times people that are commissioning you will try to articulate what they want. But more often than not, the artist can think of a way to execute their idea a little bit simpler or a little bit more clearly. And I don't know. It requires trust on both sides. It's a lot of it requires a lot of good communication.
For sure.
And typically, what I do is I sort of I give the commissioner a part of the process. I tell them, I show them sketches, I show them project updates. I give them, this is what the sketch looks like. Oh, I never even thought about that. Or it's either, oh, I never even thought about that, or that looks perfect. It's exactly like what you pulled out of my head.
Yeah.
On the off chance that it's garbage, they'll tell you that too. But if your communication's clear, then then that will rarely come up.
So one thing we did last time was to talk about like physical influences as far as like picking celebrities or people you might know or have images of and talking about that. So I put together on my end, having already worked with Caleb once and I knew a little bit about what he might want. I looked for just like striking Indian women, and it's so interesting because I really found in the two people that I pulled out, I really feel like they are different takes. Obviously, they're different people, but both have this kind of like leading lady ingenue quality while still exuding like it's not so young that they look helpless. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. No, these are like what you picked are like the biggest Bollywood superstars
Yeah,
in that part of the world. I mean, they may not
yeah.
be huge names over here, but to be honest with you, you've probably seen them, even if you don't know their names.
Yes, absolutely. So, Aishwarya Rai? How
I
do you
want to
say her
say
last
Rye,
name?
but I could
Rai.
be
I feel
wrong.
like it's Rai. And Priyanka Chopra are the people that I put on the list for like face, giving us queen, giving us champion. And then for physical references, I really wanted to make sure like that this person looked like she could use a broadsword, that she was strong and athletic, and so I went the route of Gal Gadot and Jennifer Garner, primarily like Jennifer Garner as I remember her in Alias and Elektra. Is kind of what I had in my mind, and yeah. So those are kinds of the physical references that I gave. Yeah. What other types of references do you like to ask for?
Oh gosh. Yeah, well, body type. You've already
Yeah.
given me a pretty good idea of what to expect. She's meant to be a soldier. She's meant to
Yeah.
look. She's not just a. She's a. If you're gonna do what she does in Ravenloft,
Yeah.
then you have to be tough.
Mm,
Because the whole idea behind Ravenloft is that it will beat you senseless if you let it.
yes.
There's a reason why your campaign has lasted as long as it has.
Yeah.
Um,
Shockingly, and I have died, so I've managed to die once already.
were you rezzed or
So
what happened?
yes, I was. I was resurrected. We were in a situation where we had pulled a bunch of playing cards. So this is not like the Taroka draw that you do at the beginning of the game, but we were dealing with an archmage who put us in kind of a like magical realm where he said, nothing that happens here will last. You are just meant to solve the puzzles and the problems presented, and if you do so, you will be let in to the actual plane that is within this tower, basically was the deal. So we all pulled cards for various challenges. I pulled one that summoned an Avatar of Death.
Nice.
Avatar of Death is a creature that will focus in on one person. If anyone else hits that avatar with an attack or makes an attempt to hit them, another Avatar of Death focused on them will come after them. And then I proceeded to roll some of the worst rolls in the history of Dungeons and Dragons
Oh yeah.
as I fought this avatar. Now, to talk a little bit more about my specific take on Ireena, I've never read through the entirety of Curse of Strahd. Because I wanted to play it, but I've
Yeah.
heard enough about it to know. I had heard enough about it to know a little bit about who Ireena was and have an idea that instead of Strahd, which is typically a story about being trapped and wanting to get out, I wanted to tell the story of someone who found out that they were coming home, that was from
Yeah.
Barovia and did not know it. And so that has been basically the journey that I as Ireena have been on. And so in that has been a lot of discovery of, I thought these were my parents. Well, they're not. I always knew that my fathers adopted me, right? But now I know that they aren't my parents. But now in Barovia, so many people have lied to her about their relations because they want to give her to Strahd, that she doesn't. It's taken her a really long time to suss out what the actual story is of her origins. And so through this fight with the Avatar of Death, it just kept transforming from one person to the next. On every round, it would like appear to her another way. And then it finally became people from different Tatianas. That's the person that she is, the soul that she's the incarnation of.
Gotcha.
So they would all become people from her life, and then suddenly it was people she didn't recognize that were from Tatiana's life, and the last one was Strahd, and I kept missing, and it kept hitting me. And the thing about an avatar of death is if an avatar of death reduces you to 0 hit points, there's no death saves. Like, you're just dead. That's just it.
Just deed.
Yeah. So we were traveling with another Vistani who was very, very sure that Irina had some part to play, and we did not, I don't know if this is in the book because our DM does God's work and makes a lot of changes, which I think is awesome, but she had the ability to basically use her Vistani magic to transfer her life essence into Irina. So before Irina's soul could be removed and like from this demi-plane and taken into the mist where it could be reincarnated when they all escaped, she basically traded her life for Irina's, and then she was taken into the mists instead when they left. So it was awful. And I don't think my DM intended for me to die in there. But I think it was one of our one of our most fun role play type combat situations because nobody else was able to participate in it, if that makes sense.
No, it was a purely personal, very that was pretty horrific, to be honest.
Yeah, it was awful. I cried a lot. But I was like, man, if she goes down this way, the effect that is going to have on the party is totally great, you know? So I was very sad about it. I think we were about 6 months into the game at that point. So
that's super cool. It's like it's like what we were just talking about before, the story being the most important thing. It's like the experience of playing the game is paramount. So that's like, good on you.
And yeah, and I also think like it pulled out a bunch of mysteries that then I'm glad that I got to be part of solving later. But that was like the first time that we saw Sergey, who is Irina's, the person that Irina chose instead of Strahd. That was the first time that we saw Strahd like in a weird private sense where he really expressed that he loved Irina. Like it was, everything else has been like, oh, he's chasing me, he's obsessed with me. Like I saw something else in that moment was expressed by our dungeon master that was like confusing to her. And I think, yeah, I don't know. I am not about like falling in love with your captor such and such, but I do think that she wants this to end for everybody, and she'd be happy enough if it ended for Strahd too. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I think that's like a big part of it for her. Is she's like, this cycle is awful. It's so bad, and I don't want it anymore. Another big thing about our particular game that I think is true in other versions of this campaign for other people, I don't know if it's in the original, but is that when you are a paladin or a cleric, if you have a god who is not here in Barovia, you are in a way sort of cut off from your deity. And so being a person of faith whose power and ability to even try to fight off these forces of evil, who lives every day like it might be the last time they feel a connection to their god, is terrifying. And at this point, Irina, I'm basically at the end of the campaign. Like we are about to go into Castle Ravenloft and deal with Strahd and deal with the people Strahd serves. So I'm not excited because I don't want it to end. We've literally been trying to 100% the map to try to not, we're like, maybe if we just go look at the mountains we haven't looked at yet, we won't have to end this campaign. It's like
maybe we should just go on, do a bunch of walks or something like that. Just
take a walk,
go hiking out. Exactly. Yeah, you know, go glamping.
Yeah, go glamping in the mountains. It'll be fine. We don't
go glamping in the mountains of Ravenloft. You know,
Strahd's been in charge for a long time. What's the rush? Like
exactly. Like we're Vistani, we can make like some artisanal like cheeses or something.
Oh man!
In the friggin' mountains or what have you. You know, if there are more like Ravenloft tourists that come by,
that would be amazing. Well, the Vistani aspect of it is something I was really excited about exploring, because I liked their role as as fortune tellers and as people who are almost like they serve, in some cases they serve Strahd, and some they don't. Like, you never quite know, depending on, just like people have choice and free will, and they can decide what's best for them. And so the way that we've, come to learn about them is they if people would believe them and support them, like, they could be a huge power in defeating Strahd.
Right.
But they also owe their ability to be the ones who can travel the mist while nobody else can, to Strahd. Like, that's a gift that only they possess. And so incorporating, between my faith to Irina's god and her new understanding of these Vistani powers that she's beginning to unlock, it's just like creating a really cool, I'll say, like, loadout game term wise for me, as far as like I can use Vistani curses, or I can use my spells, or I can go and hit a thing. I think paladins can get
I totally get it.
And so it's nice to have some extra spice in there that I can throw around and have, my own relationship with the things that draw you into Barovia story-wise. Chiron says, that's how he gets you. You become complacent, and then the world just gets dark, and you get lethargic, and that's how the whole place is populated. It's basically true. That's very true. What's up, Juicy? Welcome to stream, my friend.
Welcome, Juicy.
But yeah, I really love the Vistani part of it, and learning about, like, for me, her parentage has been cool and is a part of the story. I haven't really quite finished, but there's been this weird transition from her being this paladin of Melil, who is the god, the patron of, like, troubadours and songs and epic poetry, and such. It's like an elven pantheon god. What is it? The Faerunian deity of song, poetry, eloquence, creativity, and inspiration.
Who is the god again?
Melil. Milil.
Okay.
And the thing that will be necessary for you to know is that her raiment, however that manifests, her tabard or whatever, has been almost completely destroyed through the course of their mission. So she's become more and more connected to her Vistani roots by now, and less connected in faith to Melil. Like, it's almost, I guess I'm thinking about it in this moment, like, her story is the story Melil always wanted her to tell, was like the story of the Vistani people who rose up and, like, took responsibility for their world, if that makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense.
And so I think that's a cool aspect of where we can visually take this character, is that, like, she's not like a shining champion. She is a champion who has seen some real shit at this point. She's hanging on, man. She's died once. She's almost died several other times. My current frustration is that Strahd keeps mind controlling her, which I hate. It's been really hard. Because as we come
Strahd
closer
and his mind controlling BS.
Yeah, I mean, he's bitten her twice, right? Like, so before the story starts, before Ireena enters the story, she's been bitten twice already. And so she's very aware of the dangers there.
Gotcha.
But I think the way that my GM has we talked about this, like, this is one of the reasons session 0 is really, really important, obviously, because when I came in and said, I want to be Ireena, and he was like, okay, that's a hard flex. Let's talk about what that looks like in our game. I think he really wanted to make sure that I was cognizant of the themes involved, right, and the types of, the type of relationship we were going to have to portray, and also that I felt that he wanted me to feel comfortable saying, okay, can we focus on somebody else's storyline for a while, because this is just a lot for me.
I gotcha.
Nat30s, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the Baby Bards. Stick around. We have an awesome Discord community that you should come join if you enjoy talking about all things D&D. And if you like some short format tip type things, you can check out my YouTube. But welcome. Let us know if you're playing Strahd right now, or if you have in the past. When it comes to the way that JC, our DM, runs the relationship, it's very much like every time Strahd believes it's going to be different.
Yep.
Like, she's going to understand, she's going to fall in love with me, and then it'll be fine. So it's like that weird undying attitude where they've tried every kind of thing, and none of it has worked. And
right, it's the same kind of mindset that keeps people playing Minecraft.
Totally. And I think one of the
or
things that
World of Warcraft, it's like, oh, this time I'll do it even better, right?
So this time I'll do it even better, because he gets to relive it, like this relationship, like Groundhog Day, and so he knows that he can't just continually mind control her, because like I think he believes that she has to want this too, and that she just doesn't understand, and that when she understands, she'll be able to make the right choice. Right? That is how we have played it, and it can be incredibly frustrating because you feel a little bit, and I was warned that this might be the case, you feel a little bit gaslit by Strahd, but it's also been great because you can see the moments where it's not even that he doubts, it's just that he's choosing not to enact power on Ireena because he needs her to want to be with him.
Right.
So
no, it's totally gas. It's a vampire. It's a toxic relationship.
It's not great. It's not
great. It's Twilight, guys. You know what to expect.
Yeah, you know what this is. And I really have enjoyed that aspect of it, because it makes it so clear, what has to happen, and she has to end this because she doesn't want it to happen to anyone else ever again. And it's happened to like hundreds or thousands of women at this point. And so she's like, this has got to be it. Like, we're going to put a cap on this. And then it'll never happen again. But then it becomes, what lengths would you go to end this cycle? Does it, just as you said earlier, does it start a new one afterwards? I think is scary too.
Yep.
She's so strong.
Are you watching me? I can't tell.
I'm watching you. I am watching you.
Yes, she is strong. She needs to. I'm basically picking the body type of like a boxer. Somebody who's like just totally like not just top heavy, but like totally square. And the idea here is to try and there's a really well-known Olympic boxer named Kathy Collins, whose body type is like just perfect for this. She is a beefy beef, and it works really well for the kind of the kind of guts out, suns out, guns out type of paladin that you're talking about.
Yeah. And I also think like it was in the book, like, I mean, you guys can see the original art. It's beautiful art, right? But it's very much like, I'm a lady with a sword. Like, whatever shall I do? Is kind of the.
I don't like the fact that her long hair is showing. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Like, I like her long hair, especially because it's so connected to her Vistani heritage, right? I think that like her hair being out is like very much one of the things people notice about Ireena in the books a lot. I say in the books like it's a novel that it exists. It doesn't. It's just in my mind palace.
In the Strahd books.
In my mind book. That's what it is. But I do feel like there is an element of the fact that like she's this strong woman, but there is an element of like being the heroine of the tale, where like she has this long hair. But I hate how in this image her hair is like swept to one side and it's like stick straight, where like I want her hair to be like it's important. It's like it's big and it's curly and it's indicative of her culture and the way they wear it, you know, the more we get into that, like I just don't want her to like look like a watered down white girl with darker skin, if that makes sense. Like,
no, I feel you.
I also hate that in this picture she's like looking to the left. Like I'm like, meet my eye line, Irina. Meet my eye line. It's just, there's so much about her in this image that plays into how she's written in the original. But yeah, I think I don't know. It's confusing sometimes.
Life is confusing sometimes. It's okay.
It's just so confusing.
Right? I'm just trying to find I'm looking up reference on Pinterest of some really gnarly looking. Oh, here we go. The idea, I know I'm covering her up a little bit.
No, you're good. You're good. Tell me your thoughts.
Well, the idea here is to try and I want to put like a pod helmet on her. I know it's not sexy or whatever. Well, actually, you know what? I can't do that because it'll cover up her eyeball.
With her tattoo, yeah.
All right. Enough
I'm
of that.
Sorry to have ruined your pod.
No. Oh, you're so sorry. You are great. You're doing great, and I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
No problem. What can we do instead? It's like I wanted to give her some sort of helmet, but at the same, it's like if for no other reason I reveal her hair, it's going to be, you know, to make her look glamorous and, you know, windswept and
yeah.
You know, I realize it does look a little, you know, Harlequin romance, but at the same time,
No, I'm into it. I'm into like, I think that's part of it is like it's reclaiming the idea of like the romantic lead who's helpless, right? And giving her this like head-on power to change, enact change in the world that she's in. I think that's kind of the commentary that I'm trying to create.
Nice.
So if it feels like that, it's okay.
I'm trying to help.
You're doing it. You're doing great.
I'm doing it. Yay.
Yeah, I think that's something that we were talking on somebody else's channel the other day. We were having a conversation about actionable objectives and themes. Like, how do you create like what your character is going to be about? Because I sometimes think that's if you're working with a DM who like isn't just playing strictly by the book, like they want to create a more character-driven experience. What's up, Magic Llama? How are you? We're drawing Irina, Magic Llama. Magic Llama also plays Irina in her Curse of Strahd game.
What? Cool.
But yeah.
Now, let me get this. Can I ask you a quick question?
You may.
Does somebody have to play Irina?
No. So Irina is typically just an NPC. Not like just an NPC. She's cool. But you just like either like don't manage to save her, or you do and you get her to this place and then her story's kind of over, and it's just so frustrating because it's kind of like none of it. The version where like the version of the story where she gets somewhere and her story is over, which is not, I think, how anyone could do it if you had a player playing that character. So Magic Llama, I don't think you're going to be spoiled by this at all. But basically, it's like you get there and then someone appears to her and is like, I can make it all go away for you. And then she's like, okay. And then just like disappears.
I need a party of adventurers.
It's like
Let's go to the tavern.
I need a party of adventurers and a new fucking life. Sorry. Yeah. It's just
well,
isn't
ridiculous. She Vistani? Can't she freaking just like missed out?
Well, so that's the question, is like this is the question that I haven't sought to really answer for myself, because I think for my Irina, like I've made it so that she has to be there. Like she believes that her, you know, quest as a paladin is to do this thing. So even though she could probably talk to her
animals,
Vistani, for like her family, and say like, how do I do this? How do I move through the mists, right?
Oh, gotcha.
Like, I don't think she really wants to, because that would leave her quest incomplete rather. Yeah.
No, that makes perfect. Well, your version of her definitely would not want to.
Yeah. But as far as yeah, go ahead.
If they were an NPC, I would be like, nope. Or maybe there's
I don't know that she is a Vistani as an NPC. I think that was something I decided for her.
Okay.
I think she could be, but I still haven't figured out a lot of the root of, like, I know why they've been given the gift of the ability to travel through the mists, but I don't know how they do it, if that makes sense. Like, why don't all Vistani just be like, peace, guys, we're out? There's got to be a reason, and I'm sure that we're going to find out the answer to those questions in the next couple of sessions, honestly, because I now have to unite the Vistani to come fight with us. And
nice.
Ravenloft is our next.
It's gonna be like the battle at the end of Willow or something like that. It'd be super
Dude,
cool.
it's very much gonna be that, and that is definitely not something that is in the book. We've
battle at the end of Willow.
We've been very much like Aslan calling like Aslan is on the move, and we're like, meet us at the round table,
gotcha.
and we will tell you all why you must fight with us, so that there'll be like this gigantic, huge battle going on outside the castle while we're inside the castle doing our badass things.
Right.
And that's kind of, I think that's our plan currently. Now, what happens in actuality, I don't know. But one of the scary things for us has been trying to figure out who of the people we want to work with can we actually trust.
Gotcha.
And, they could all show up to Aslan's table and, be terrible and kill us all. So who can say?
I was there when the music was written. Don't quote the and you'll be like, dude, Strahd, chill the F out. That's not you.
First of all, Juicy says that they
how does can I ask your DM, how do they do the voices? Is Strahd
man.
Welcome?
Let me tell you.
1, 2.
JC played in our Ragnarok game
last
week. And his ability with all the voices and transforming, so my Ireena is French. It's just how I did. It's how she just has a French accent. And so a lot of the Vistani also have this French accent as well.
Very Jeanne d'Arc.
Yeah, and I love it because Esmeralda, who is a Vistani, and you can see on the new cover for Van Richten's Guide to Ravencroft, her last name is Devonier. So it has kind of like a French vibe to it. Very yeah.
Alec,
and so I'm super excited about that. Anyways, the voices that JC does, like his Strahd is like deep and resonant, but it is not grossly
it's not Count Von Count.
Yeah, it's not Count Von Count. It is very much inviting and liquid, and when Strahd gets mad, like, we're all very scared.
Nice.
Like he's never freaked out once. Like he's never done that thing where like the villain gets really angry and loud. That's one of my favorite things about his portrayal of Strahd, is because if you're powerful, you don't need to show your power in that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so he just kind of like gets quiet and does something terrible to us. That's when we know we fucked up. But yeah, I think that's kind of his Strahd way, and it's definitely got a little bit of Slavic nature to it, but it is very
it's beautiful. Deep. I love it. That sounds deep. So good.
Yeah, and you're like, am I in love with you? You're kind of an asshole. That's the joke. That's the joke always, is that Irina's gonna fall in love with Strahd, and I'm like, that would actually never happen. Like, she hates him so much in our story. I hate him so much. So let's talk about like why I think you should encourage somebody to play Ireena in your game. For all the reasons we talked about, she is typically an object that is kind of moved around a chessboard, and it feels really shitty at the table. For women, I won't just say for women, it can feel shitty for anyone, but it certainly felt shitty for me reading about it in the little bits that I had seen and read from other Strahd games I had watched. She usually somebody at the table like falls in love with her and wants to protect her from Strahd, and your job is to protect her, and it just feels like she has no, like, not only is she the reincarnated soul of a million women who've already suffered, but now she has like nothing to add. Like, I hate that. I hate it so much.
No, you wanted to give her agency. You wanted to give her a voice.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
And I think the thing that you can do at your table, if people don't want to play Ireena, if they want a little bit more freedom, what you can do is there are a lot of people on the Curse of Strahd subreddit that have put a lot of thought already into how you can just give that aspect that Strahd becomes obsessed with another member of the party who is the reincarnation. Like, so you just give them everything that Ireena is, without the need for her to look a particular way or present as a paladin or anything like that. And
I fell in love with a turtle.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to this turtle is I am totally in love with them.
Oh boy.
I'm so sorry. I just cost you like 10,000 followers.
Yeah, everybody's out. Everybody's like, okay, well, I have somewhere to be.
So sorry.
No, you're fine. Juicy says, it makes me think of Gary Oldman as Dracula. You're talking about Lestat. Yeah, Lestat's great. Did you ever read those books? Interview with a Vampire?
I'm a child of the 90s. Hello.
You're like, hello.
I played Vampire the Masquerade so many goddamn times.
Oh my god.
No, I was the saddest little proto-goth in my high school. So there you go.
Amazing. I really want to play Vampire the Masquerade, and no one will play with me. That's not true. I'm sure I could get people to play with me if I wanted to, but I just got the book this year, and I really do want to play it. It's been on
it's really fun.
Yeah.
Or it was anyway. I haven't played it in a bazillion years, but yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, I really
super cool. That's not a word to describe Vampire.
It's super cool. Yeah, I think it's, you gotta want to focus a lot more on RP, and
oh yes,
there's a lot in it that's so much about identity and your various clan and all that stuff that I think is really fun. But I'd be very interested in playing it before I run it. I would like to run it at some point, but I kind of want to feel it out before I do so. I've watched plenty of streams where people play it, so cool. I understand basically like the idea of hunger and how it functions in the game, but I wouldn't feel comfortable being like, I understand all of this lore. Let me paint you a word picture.
The lore is pretty heavy. I like the fact that I think the more recent versions of it have been a little lighter on the lore. It's they've taken it and they've kind of smooshed it together a bit. So that's good.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty fun. But yeah, the idea is still that you have to drink blood, otherwise you lose control. And if you have to be a monster, or else you become a monster. A monster you must be, lest a monster you become. And it's it's very, very cool.
I've imagined
again, I said that,
on
and it's
many
not
a dark night. It's really cute. It's cool for people who think that kind of shit is cool.
There you go.
I feel like
a nut.
I don't know where I'm going. I forgot where I was going with this. I had a thought about Ireena, and something in the way you were drawing her that I really wanted to point out. I
Is she
really
too
like that she's
yoked?
head.
How do you feel about
No,
this?
no, I really like it. Like, because it looks like she's wearing layers on layers of armor, and she's forever just getting so fucked over in melee range that I feel like you couldn't be there if you didn't look like that. So like, yeah, in your mind you might be like, sure, Irina's like a waif, but like, how would she ever do anything if that was true?
Yep.
And I also like the idea that like she's beautiful, but like Strahd is obsessed with the fact that like she is powerful. Like she is in every version of her, she's like powerful in a different way. And in this version of Ireena, it's her strength. And I imagine Ireena going dark, honestly. Like I've imagined it 1,000 times, but it's never happened at the table.
When you say going dark, you mean like turning Sith, or what do you mean?
Like, I imagine her being like, I'm happy to rule Barovia now that Strahd's dead. It's fine.
Is that dark, or is that just a way for her to? Well, I don't know.
It depends on what it takes to rule Barovia. If you have to make a dark pact with a dark power in order to like maintain it somehow, then you might have to make some choices. But we have gone to the places where you can go to make these pacts, and all of us came out without one. And I really had a choice. Like, one of these powers one of the dark powers offered me the chance. I've been toe to toe with 2 of them, and one of them offered me the chance to just resurrect somebody once a day without components.
Damn.
Without using a spell slot, and said that there was
That's
more
like
in
Warlock
store if
crap.
I took it.
That's
Yeah.
even, actually, that's way bigger than Warlock crap.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah. And then another one of them was called, well, we called him Master Mirror. And I actually did on my Patreon, there's a narrative kind of, like, I wrote a short story about what happened when Ireena faced him in our game. He was like trying to get one of us to agree to hold on to this mirror and capture the souls of the people we killed on our way to take down Strahd. And I was like, no. But one of our...
I can just imagine that. Are you sure about that? You're like, no. Come on. You're like, no. Okay.
I'm really not into it.
Like, it's souls. Come on, it's soul. What are people doing with souls? Like, nothing. What does it even do? Like, nothing. You do it, you have it, you don't use it.
Yeah.
Live
Tyrone
simply, live
points
small.
out something about the yokedness of this character, which I like a lot, which is her strength in this iteration is the one thing Strahd can't own. I mean, unless he mind controls her, but he still can't own the strength she's built herself.
Well, I love that idea. That I think you kind of nailed it. It's like the whole idea that I think by giving her agency, you've given her a chance to deny him, and I feel like that's that's a really powerful idea behind somebody who's abusive and gaslighty and otherwise pretty sucky. The idea that you've actually got a character here who could stand up to the big bad and hold their own, or at least look that way. At least the design suggests that they have that ability, and I feel like that's powerful.
It's also been really interesting just from the perspective of these dark powers and everything that kind of present themselves to you when you're traveling Barovia. The idea that like every single time I'm faced with a choice of like, do I take one of these gifts? Right? Do I take one of them and become stronger? Ireena, like, I ultimately, as Anne, like within that headspace, am left thinking like, I can't do this. Like, her purity of vision is all she has. Like, everything else seeks to weaken her in every possible turn. Like, is she really gonna just kind of cave and become a product of Barovia when she could represent what Barovia truly was before Strahd became who he is? And so I just never can get myself there, even though as Anne I really want to make that choice. Like, I'm like, yes, give me dark gifts, it's all I've ever wanted, but it always ends up in like this, because I never intended to be like, I'm a paladin and I'm lawful good. Like, I don't, but that's just how it happens, because Barovia is so dark that it has to be denied by someone.
Well, I feel like that's actually could be part of your paladins. I mean, you've got paladins have to have like an oath or something like that, right? They have to have a vow that they have to take. And
oh my God, is that my horse? Sorry, I got really excited. It's fine.
That's meant to be your horse.
What a time to be alive! I am living right now. My majestic boy. His name is Requiem.
I'm actually gonna have to. Shoot. I'll have to do. If in order to give this, the proper landscapey thing, I'd have to swap the aspect ratio. Make it.
That's fine.
But make it landscape. But I'll stick with this for right now. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's totally fine. I can always adjust on the fly if we need to make something.
No, it's okay. We'll stick with this for right now.
Yeah, Requiem's great. What a sweet horse.
A sweet undead horse.
So, one of the other shitty things that Strahd did, added to the list, right? One of the shitty things he did to her is that whenever she summons her steed, it is warped through the mists of Barovia and becomes undead. So, like, she used to summon this beautiful, black horse with golden eyes, and he is now just this undead, gross war horse. And Requiem is still the best in every possible way, but, like, it's like you've taken now even the threat, we were talking about it a little bit earlier, but, like, the threat of losing your connection to your god, right, would be a lot if that was your means of survival. I feel, and so the idea that even her powers are becoming, like, tainted by being in this place for this long is just, it's too much. It's too much for my poor heart.
Garbage.
Weird. My music has stopped. I'm going to restart it. How dare you?
Got yourself an undead horse boy.
Huh. Interesting. I will fix you, music. You will obey me.
Now, when you say warped through the mist, maybe I should. I don't know. I kind of maybe in the future I maybe would make Requiem a little less horse-like, and no, I mean just to sort of make them a little bit more bloodborne and nightmarish.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. Undead Horse Boy, my favorite band. Amazing.
Undead Horse Boy.
Oh, you did not mean, Chiron meant something different. I think I know what you mean, but I'm not gonna go so far down that road, especially with Magic Llama here in chat, who's also playing, Ireena.
What?
So Chiron had said, that wasn't quite where I was going when I was talking about her strength is the one thing he can't own. And he said that's not where I was going, but I'm not sure how much is spoilerific if I went into Ireena's history as far as I remember it. Totally fair. Totes fair. Totes McGoats fair. She's gonna kick butt. This Ireena is gonna take some people down and let them know. Yeah, the thing that we've been discussing in our game, which is very different, I think, than other Curse of Strahd's, because we have a different end goal and a different final fight, in which our DM has already told us that because we've unlocked these, we've restored some old gods to the land, if that makes sense.
As you do.
As one does. We've restored some old gods to the land, and so what that has meant is that we now, when we face Strahd's true master, we will face them as level 20 characters that have been empowered by the gods of Barovia, the old gods of Barovia.
Wow.
So we're going to get to do like an epic level 20 battle, and I'm very excited about it. I'm very, very excited about it.
Wait, that's right. You've been doing this for 2 years. So she literally is level 20.
So I currently, our people, let me pull up my character sheet over here again so I can reference my poor choices. So the game typically ends around level 10.
Really?
Yeah. So you get to Strahd and deal with him, however, successfully or unsuccessfully at like level 10. Now, various people have done takes on that. Like you could decide how you want to run it as a game master. But yeah, that's been the sort of goal. Right now we are level 10. And so basically we'll remain level 10 throughout our trip through Ravenloft, I believe. We might level somewhere in there, but I don't know how long it's going to take us. That place is apparently one big ass maze. But yeah. So we're going to go in there and deal.
Where you're going to go and where?
So Castle Ravenloft is where Strahd lives. Yeah. Oh, I have a kitty cat. What are you gonna do? Make a decision.
They are going to make a pact with an Eldritch power.
Oh boy.
And rule freaking Ravenloft or whatever.
You draw. I have this cat now. It's fine.
It's all good.
Let's read some chat here. Oh boy, chats are going. It's a difficult thing. This is from Chiron. Kitty butthole alert, says Magic Llama, which is true. You have full knowledge because you run Strahd, so everything that I say, Chiron knows what's in the book and what my GM has made up. But from the GM perspective, it helps to know her history for sure. Yeah. Chiron says, I would love to do a full decompress all the spoilers discussion about this with people after finishing the campaign, so no one feels cheated. Magic Llama says, all that I, as Irina, know is that I was found in the forest as a young girl and was adopted by the Barovian burgomaster. Yeah, that's what she know in the beginning. That's what she know. So for me, I've made up a lot of things, right? So my Irina appeared in the mists to 2 gay paladins, because that's a sick-ass flex. In Faerun. One was a bard and one was a paladin. Both served at a temple of Malil, patron of creativity and song and storytelling, all that stuff.
Arts and crafts.
So, as my friends say, how are you playing a character that is in every way a bard but isn't that class? And I feel red, but it is true. But yeah, so she appears in a field filled with mist during a storm, as these things so often happen. And these 2 men discover her and decide they're going to raise her at the temple. And their god basically says, like, you need to protect her. She's important. And of course they become attached to her, and because she came so easily into their lives, they always fear that she will be taken away. So they're like it's very tangled, right? Like, live in this temple but never go beyond the temple walls. But of course she was raised to be a champion of Malil, and at a certain point champions must become knights, and knights must have quests. And so she wanted a quest. So she was going to travel to Waterdeep and get a quest. And her fathers were not happy about it, but one of them was like, I'll go with her. So the bard goes with her, and almost as
The bard,
they
they do rock, paper, scissors.
rock,
The
paper,
paladin's
scissors.
like, let me go. I actually have combat experience. The bard is like, I'll send you for it. And they're like, fine.
It's fine. Yeah, I imagine that to be true, because I just imagine them to be like gay disasters with each other, like having adventures with each other for years previously, and they're like
gay disasters.
Yeah, I love it. So yeah,
Disaster
gay dads argue who gets to go with their daughter to Waterdeep to take on
two
her
gay
quest.
D&D dads.
And the Kristoff, her bard dad, goes with her. And no sooner have they left the temple grounds than a great mist sweeps over them. They're transported through the mist to Barovia as feared, and Ireena is separated from her father and can't find him. So then it's really like she's eventually taken in, just like Magic Llama said, by a burgomaster who claims that she is absolutely his daughter, and then I found out that wasn't true, but basically due to stuff that has been added to the adventure, found out that I was in fact a Vistani, and then I found my sister, and my sister in our game is Esmeralda, who is on the front of the book for the what's his face, Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, and so they kind of find each other, and she finds her culture and is sated with knowing who she is, but not before having her father turn having Strahd turn her father into a vampire, and then she had to kill him. So that's fun.
Real dad, fun. Not gay dad.
Real dad. No, gay dad. So real
what?
dad. So real dad, who she thought was who adopted her here in Barovia. Didn't adopt her, but like took her and was like, I'm your real father. He died somehow. I think that was actually before I joined the game. So part of this that's interesting is that I joined the game after they'd already been playing to replace somebody else, and Ireena doesn't in the original start in the party because she's not in the party. So I came in when Ireena came in into the story and joined them that way. But Ireena had already been a factor for them before I came to the table. So she existed, and certain things happened to her that I actually don't know what happened because I wasn't there. But for some reason, her father dies while Strahd's attacking a town, and then they try to like make Ireena safe, and that was, I think, the first episode I ever played.
Wait, gay dad died?
No. I'm sorry. There are too many dads in this story. So the burgomaster who was like, "You're my long lost daughter," and she's like, "Oh, thank God." I've been looking for, the truth of where I came from, because I've been adopted by my two gay dads. By the way, I'm looking for one of those gay dads. He's like, don't worry about gay dad Kristoff, bard father. I am your true father. And she's like, you know what? We'll worry about that later. I'm glad to have somebody on team Ireena, because people had been treating her very strangely since she looks like Tatiana she spent like a year in Barovia just trying to figure shit out before the rest of the party gets there. So then Burgomaster Dad has, I think, a heart attack while Strahd's attacking.
Can we just call him Burger Dad?
Burger Dad?
Burger Dad.
Amazing. Sick.
Sorry.
So he dies. They go off, and then later on, when they go to the Amber Temple, which is like a famous Strahd location, and it holds all these dark powers where everyone in Barovia who's ever had a dark gift is like, you should check out the Amber Temple. It's super cool in there. And you're just like, maybe we shouldn't go there. Like, it's so funny how many people in Curse of Strahd tell the party to go to the Amber Temple, and they're like, oh, okay, we'll go. And then the DM has to find some way to communicate to you, not yet, because you'll just fucking die. Like, and it was to the point where we were so afraid of going to the Amber Temple that when it finally became time, our DM had to like drop the veil and be like, guys, it's time. Like, you have to go to the Amber Temple now. Like, you can do the other things on your checklist for sure, but like, you don't
You can do side
you
quests, but seriously,
you are
guys.
level 7, like you can go to the Amber Temple. And I was like, oh, okay. So we went, and it was just as awful as anyone said, but we did come out alive. But while they were there, we discovered many things. But one of them was that Strahd had guarded a particular important a thing of importance there by making Irina's bard dad into a vampire and sticking him in the Amber Temple.
Well, that sucks a bunch.
And so she was like, this is terrible. And it ended up being a thing where she was pretty sure she could like resurrect him, but then only if she took the dark power that was offered to her to like cast true resurrection. But she didn't want to do it. And he was just like, I'll never be the same after this. Like, I'm ruined. Just end it. And so she had to kill her dad, which sucked a lot. So that's one of the terrible things I've had to do, is kill my adoptive father. And then she found out that Burger Dad was not, in fact, her real dad, and that he was lying the entire time.
Of course.
And that she was actually the daughter of this like powerful Vistani leader. And I don't know the answer to the rest of that because we haven't played it out yet. So we'll find out soon, hopefully.
Well, there comes a time in everybody's life when they have to, when their dad becomes a vampire.
Yeah.
And you just have to yeet them into the light side or whatever. And it's like, you did that. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, it was crazy because he used the last of his strength to disobey Strahd to like help her fight the rest of the vampires and help her friend. Like he protected her because she was like about to go down, and so he fought Strahd's will to like protect her, but then she eventually had to kill him anyways, and it sucked. Right.
The Disaster Gate Dad wasn't a disaster at the end.
Yeah,
it's
very sad.
He was a proud, happy, good dad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he
that
wasn't
sucks.
Dead for a second.
Oh, I'm bummed.
I know. It's all terrible. Barovie's bad. You guys shouldn't go there. It's really awful.
No. Don't pay attention to the brochures. Amber Temple is garbage. Don't do any of that.
Magic Llama asks, wait, Caleb, are you using Procreate?
I am using Procreate.
There you go.
It's a really, really great program with a terrible, terrible name. But it works really, really well. You're welcome. Man. And yeah, so that's where I am. And I used to do that to my students. I'm like, hey guys, look, I just procreated. And everybody's like, shut up forever.
Wow, that's terrible. That's really bad. I mean, everybody's here for the dad jokes, though, for real.
I am sorry.
Chiron says, who sold you that Strahd was a happy story? It's a terrible place. Why would anybody want to go there? It's true. Sorry, what were
Let's
you
go
say?
There.
Let's go there. It's perfect. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited about Oh no, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just making terrible jokes. Go ahead.
Oh, and you're welcome to. I'm really excited about the fact that this new book is going to give us, if Barovia is one domain of dread, there are 30 in total, and they've kind of told us that there's going to be the Sea of Sorrows and a world where like technology, it's very what am I trying to say? Frankenstein-esque. Like they're going to be kind of investigating classic horror tropes in all of these different domains. And it's going to come with a new 20-page adventure that's like a haunted house adventure. So I'm super into that, even though I hate the concept of ghosts in every way and don't like thinking about it. But
well, if it's anything like the I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. I was just laughing at myself.
Well, if it's anything like the old realms of Ravenloft, each one has its own sort of lord. And
yes, that is true.
Each one is sort of based off of, a gothic, either like a universal monster or like a gothic trope. Like there's one that's like Frankenstein's monster. Mm-hmm. There's one that's ruled by a wolfman and lycanthropes. Just wolfman. You know the Wolfman from
The pronunciation
Cincinnati
really
Wolfman?
got me. Wolfman?
Yeah. You know,
Amazing.
don't you know, Chuck Wolfman, his wife Deborah?
The
You know,
Wolfman of Wall Street?
that's it.
That's the one.
It's much
Yeah,
better.
there's a mummy lord as well. Oh, the gothic horror. It's very true. It's quite true, my dear friends. But yeah, I'm super excited about all of that because I love horror one shots especially, and so I feel really lucky that I've been able to play Strahd with JC. He's a professional DM and which you don't have to have a great game, but I guess I'm just saying, like, he takes it very seriously as an actor and as a performer, and because I really wanted to investigate, like, with a depth of role play for Irina, something that's like difficult, I guess. It's been great to explore that with him because he's like willing to go there, and everyone feels super safe and taken care of. And I hope that every single person can have, you know, a great DM that goes with them on those types of journeys if that's the experience they want. But it's made it, as much as I would love to run Strahd, it's made it kind of scary to even imagine turning around and running Strahd for other people, because I know he's done so much to personalize this experience that I'm like, I'll never live up to this.
Well, I don't know about that. I feel like it would be it would be a challenge, to be sure, but I feel like you would actually. I think you would, having such a great DM would be inspiring.
It definitely prepares you for some things. Yeah, I mean, it certainly has been. It's inspired other things in other games that I'm playing actively, and I also like how we do find like moments of light in Barovia, which is really hard. Some of my favorite Ireena moments, which are going to be hilarious now that we're looking at this like badass beefcake of a woman here, but just go with me on a stat journey, if you will. Ireena, my Ireena is not wise. She is smart because she's done a lot of book learning to read about the stories of heroes, and she is strong and she is charismatic, but she is not wise, which leads to her getting polymorphed like a lot. But so she has been transformed into, I think a hag transformed her into a frog once. Nice. And one of my favorite Strahd stories is how she got transformed into a frog, and Irina knows enough about magic to know that if she could just take the damage of the frog's life, that she would be herself. So I had to climb up on Baba Lysaga's hut, which was on fire, and throw myself into the flames to be not a frog anymore.
Nice.
And like stuff like that happens all the time. That's so silly. And for a long time, again, this is a very gothic horror-y world, and this is like the coolest version of Ireena I could possibly imagine. But there was a time where I drank a potion impulsively and had a pumpkin for a head for like probably 10 sessions. So
what am I doing drawing this then?
I know, I'm so sorry. I can never tell artists about that because they're like, oh, I'll draw that instead.
Yeah, so, seriously. I'm like, man, I've been wasting my time.
There is someone in our group who is has a really cool, like, cartoony style, and she will often draw Ireena in various states of like frustration. One of which was her as a frog reaching out, and then you can just see the reflection of the flames in its eyes, its big stupid eyes. And that one really gets me every time. It really does. So
beautiful.
I'm sure. I mean, how much D&D are you playing these days?
Me?
For
hardly
yourself.
any.
Yeah, are you playing any role-playing games right now?
Yeah, it's a pretty. I am a member of a podcast called Awful Neutral, and that is my current way I indulge in self-care. So that's literally it.
That's awesome.
And we don't just play Dungeons and Dragons. We also play. I actually run a game of Kids on Bikes,
Oh,
um,
awesome.
which is
Fun.
really fun. And which is, have you played that game incidentally?
I haven't. I think I watched somebody play through the demo of it at Gen Con, but I was not at the table because I was working.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Um, well, the game is really, really great. It's really fun. I also, this is so dumb, but it's actually the greatest thing that's ever happened to me as well. We also play a sort of a homebrew game it's based on the TV show Frasier. And
Amazing. I
yeah.
love Frasier. Frasier's like one of my favorite shows.
Okay, so this game is called Boss Dragons and Scrambled Eggs. And it's
how dare
it's a
you?
real game, and you can look up the rules. It's free. And I think we're currently in like our 4th episode of Boss Dragons and Scrambled Eggs, which we have kind of sort of tossed into this crazy story where Niles and Frasier are actually demon fighters.
I can't do this. I can't. This is
No,
too
okay,
good.
hold on. I'm still pitching it to you. So
I'm dying.
Niles and Frasier are actually demon fighters, and they so the game we have is called Hell Frasier, and we basically take individual episodes of Frasier, and by the end of the episode, it turns out that what was really going on is some demon lords trying to take over Seattle, and and we have to stop it by giving off like psychiatric help, or I turn into Psychic Frasier and I unleash the power of like Freud on him, or
holy cow,
or what's his dad's name? Martin.
Martin.
Yeah, he can sick Eddie on him, the dog. No, I'm not. No, Niles has the ability to take his parrot and attack with it. We also have to do. It's like you have to do a certain number of innuendos every episode. You have to. It's like Roz has to hit on every human being that comes within earshot.
God, I love Roz so much. She was such a cool character.
It's the greatest goddamn game. And it's like I said, if you want to check it out, Awful Neutral, and look up our episodes of Hell Frasier.
Oh my gosh. You heard it.
I play
first,
Frasier.
everybody.
It's pretty bad.
I feel like you have the voice for it. You've got like the low resonant voice.
Why, thank you.
Why, thank you. I'm Frasier.
All I need to do is talk like this, and I go a little bit faster, and I make sure that Niles feels like crap. And then I blame my dad for everything, and then I say something witty about Jung or something like that.
My God, Juicy says, "I want to know what happens when they get to the gay episode," and I think we all want to know. That's so good.
Oh yeah, we need to do that, don't we? I'll mention that to the DM. We have to do the gay episode.
That is such a fun interpretation. What are other shows that you could reskin in a D&D context? Because that's a pretty strong one.
There's a friend of mine, Amy. Well, not a friend of mine. I've done fan art of her. She's not a friend. Not a friend of mine. Amy Vorpal, who's on Geek and Sundry a lot. Mm-hmm. She came up, I think, on her TikTok. She laid out the ground rules for Bridgerton, the role-playing game.
Yes, I saw that yesterday, and I was like,
this is basically all about effing. It's just about, just effing. Oh my, I'm not very good at effing, but then at the end you're like, oh, I'm great at effing.
I'm so good at effing.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's solid. That's solid. Wow, what you just did there was transformative on that cauldron.
Oh, thanks. Put a little
cow. now it looks all shiny and stuff, and the back is still there, but it just looks it looks so much more metallic.
That's right, guys. I arted on it.
That's right. I arted all over it.
I arted the crap out of that.
Good Lord.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's great.
Just art going
plenty
on.
Of art. Whole lot of art going on.
Yep. Yeah, we did one where I'm sorry, do we still want to talk about Hellfreisher?
Literally, we can talk about whatever you want, and I'm so here for it. I want to hear all about it.
We did the one where he's hosting a dinner party, and
I love that episode.
And he's trying, but the person who's coming that he's trying to woo in order to get syndicated can't be trusted with cigarettes. Turns out that Martin, my father, has the ability. One of his character abilities is the ability to eat anything. So by the end of the episode, it was like, so we were just so tired of like hiding all the cigarettes that he just ate the cigarettes. And then and then it turns out there were demons in the plumbing, so we had to deal with them.
Oh my
God. Yeah, it's so silly, but it's so much fun.
Magic Llama says, "What about a Good Place D&D game? That would be interesting." I feel
like Good Place D&D game would be fascinating.
It's already kind of living in that sort of magic space.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. The other thing we thought about the other night, a bunch of us were on Discord, and we randomly, through no fault of mine, except it was every fault of mine, decided to watch Moana. And so we were just kind of watching Moana over Discord. And we all were talking about what a great D&D premise this is, that everybody's from a small village with like a big secret, and the discovery of which takes you away in order to save the village. And there's like so many different cool encounters. You have like the cool what are the names of the little creatures that they meet on the the big ship, and they're all like coconut monsters.
Oh, the little coconut monsters?
Yeah. I can't remember what they're called.
Coconut monsters from Kolyana are called Kakamoras.
Kakamoras. God, thank God you're here. What would I do?
I just Googled it.
I mean, it's nice though. It's a full service operation. Kakamora for sure. And then you also have your big crab encounter, and then you have like your big epic elemental encounter that becomes more of a puzzle at the end. Like there's so many cool ways.
Oh yeah, that's good point.
It can be D&D. Yeah, Moana D&D.
Moana D&D.
I just want to do it. I want to do it. I did play in a D and Disney campaign one time that was more like a one shot where we all played various Disney characters in a D&D world. I was Rapunzel, and I was a monk, and I did all my flurry of blows and shit with my hair.
And of course great. your friggin'
and my frying pan. Yeah, I had my pan and my hair. So my pan was my monk weapon, and then I had like prehensile. Oh yeah, you were in that too, Magic Llama. You were Alice. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, I think you were a sorcerer. That would make sense to me. I had such a hard time because I was like, I feel like I'm a bard monk. I did end up multi-classing in a weird way to be part bard, part monk. I mean, that's just me living that terrible multi-class life.
Living that chaos multi-class life.
So I am trying to build Irina as we speak as a level 20 character for the end of this campaign. And one of the coolest elements that I have come across is in my spell choices. I have, so paladins don't get as many spells as like, let's say, wizard or something. Yeah. But let's see here. I have the ability to cast the spell. Where is Spirit Shroud? Let me read to you the description of this spell. You call forth the spirits of the dead, which flit around you for the spell's duration. The spirits are intangible and invulnerable. Until the spell ends, any attack you make deals 1d8 extra damage when you hit a creature within 10 feet of you. The damage is radiant, necrotic, or cold, whatever your choice is. Any creature that takes this damage can't regain hit points until the start of your next turn. In addition, any creature of your choice that you can see... Oh, excuse me. Oh my god. Any creature of your choice that you can see starts its turn within 10 feet of you has its speed reduced by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. And at higher levels, you add more. So imagine a world in which Ireena is facing Strahd, and then she just explodes with a spirit shroud of past Tatianas.
Damn.
That is everything I want. Why is it not happening now? Like, as we speak. So cool.
A-hole. Your exes would like a word.
Yeah. I love that. I love that idea. Because we've actually like seen visions of Tatiana's various forms in the past and various parts of the campaign.
As one does.
As one does. We're just seeing visions here. Oh, we have a cat again. Hello. Oh boy.
Are you being cat summoned? What's going on?
A big mistake. Huge. Says the magic llama. I don't know why she's being so lovey today, but I'm not gonna be upset about it. Chiron says, I generally don't multi-class from the fear of missing out on level 20 abilities. Not that I've ever managed to get to level 20. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Is if I know I'm not getting to level 20, then I care a lot less. But in this case, I'm gonna get the cool level 20 abilities, which I'm very excited about. I guess we can look at those, but it's gonna be hard while I have this cat on my shoulder. Oh my god. What do you want? I need to reach down here and switch. My goodness. Kitty. This is my cat Tonks, everybody. Say hello. She is a sweet
Hi, Tonks.
and evil being who lives to hurt mommy. She does.
Well, she's a cat.
Once in a while, I mean, yeah, it's true. She's very violent sometimes. I can't control her. All right, let's see. Let's look for features and traits and see what the level 21 is. Ow. Ow. Oh, yes, it's so sweet. Okay, I become a living myth. Not only are my auras now, because you get a bunch of auras as a paladin, all the way from 10 feet to 30 feet away. Living myth means that as a bonus action, you gain the following benefits, so both of them. I get advantage on all charisma checks, and on each of my turns when I make a weapon attack and miss, I can just say, nah, I hit instead.
Yes, I did. The DM's like, yes, you did.
Insane. So as soon as we become level 20, I'm just popping that bad boy, because we'll be
nice.
10 minutes should cover it, I think. Kitty, is 10 minutes gonna cover it? Is it gonna cover it? Oh my goodness.
Is 10 minutes going to cover what?
I'm mostly just saying things to my cat. Is 10 minutes going to cover the final boss battle is the question. But I think it will. Because every round is 6 seconds. So
right.
The idea that we would be fighting for 10 minutes would be...
Yeah, one of the things that I had to wrestle with when I was learning D&D properly was that when you roll to attack, it's not really meant to be like one blow. It's 6 seconds worth of whacking and stabbing.
Yeah.
And, so it's actually, so when your DM decides to play a little, get a little prosy describing the action, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, for sure. I think that actually is a really good point. And Chiron just explodes in chat. 100 rounds? Yeah. 100 rounds of me just deciding I hit with one of my two attacks every turn. It's pretty sweet. Don't at me.
Don't tap it.
There's a reason you're an oath of heroism. It's to become a living myth. And that's Ireena's whole thing. It's her whole deal.
is to put an end. Well, it's to rewrite a myth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like she's there to put an end to this toxic butthole. And
He's like, this book, it's going on the shelf. That is enough.
What?
Stop. That's what she's doing. She's like, this book you've been reading, put it on the shelf.
Yeah.
You're done. That's enough.
That's it. I'm done. That's you. You had your go. You had your go. It's done now. Like it. Need to put a.
If you had to pick a class that you are most drawn to, what would it be?
Oh, like me personally, like if I was making an avatar of myself.
No, like what are you most interested in playing in D&D as a person? Not like what represents you. Like they might be the same.
I'm sorry. I'm just the worst when it comes to interrupting. I'm so sorry.
No, we have a slight delay, so you are really not the worst at all.
Okay. Honestly, I think oh shoot. I love the idea of warlocks and paladins, that they're actually the same side, different sides of the same idea.
Yeah, you're saying all words I think about a lot, my dude.
And
it excites me.
So that's basically, I mean, I feel like I would probably be either one or the other. Trying to, I don't know what that says about me. If I'm like trying to, want to play a character that even as a fantasy wants to serve somebody else. But I feel like that's I kind of would like that idea. I've never done that before. I've never played a paladin like that. Is it still canon in the game that you can only, if you're a paladin, you can't multiclass?
No, you can totally multiclass.
Okay. Because it used to be that if you were a paladin, it was like a calling, and you either were a paladin or, and if you wanted to do something else, you basically had to give up your paladin.
Huh. Yeah, no, that's not.
That's like 3rd edition, though. That's like ages ago.
No. That's certainly not something that's stuck around, and there are a lot of people who like play around with the idea of like a paladin and what that faith is and how deep it goes, like how far that oath goes. I totally get why that could be true, right? Like I think there's a reason to play your tried and true paladin for the like that has that reasoning to it.
I guess the idea was that paladins were considered pretty, not broken, but just very top heavy. But I never really found that to be true. I felt that they were pretty balanced, and the idea that they couldn't multiclass is kind of limiting.
Yeah.
So but yeah, anyway, I like that idea a lot. I would love to be a warlock. I've never done a warlock. I hardly ever play casters or magic users. So I feel like that would probably be my first go-to. Would be to try and something like that.
Both of them are pretty great for that because you get a few spells, not a ton of spells, right? And particular ways in which you use them. And a lot of times your spell slots as a paladin are used to fuel your smites. So when that's the case, it's can be frustrating if you like went into it thinking you were going to cast a bunch of spells, right? Because most of the time your spells don't actually get used as spells, I find.
No, you still do a lot of whacking as a paladin.
Yeah, it's very. I mean, I remember when I was like level 4 or 5, and I did over 100 damage in a round, and I was just like,
Jesus Christ! Sorry.
Oh my God! Like I am awesome, and the thing about it is, for me, is that now, because of the way, we've brought in the Vistani curses and things like that I can use, it means that I don't always choose to attack twice, but I always have to think about, like, if I'm not attacking twice, am I screwing over the rest of my party?
Yeah.
Because
you're there
I
am
responsible for so much. But I have to, like, sometimes I'm the only one like who can fly, or I'm the only one who can do certain things. So we have to think about various scenarios that arise where, I can't always be the only one responsible for whacking the hell out of things.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Which is great
what
for
is
me.
the well, that's right. Okay, what is shoot, Irina's I guess what's the god that you're worshiping again?
Malil.
Malil. What is
Malil,
Malil's
symbol?
symbol?
It is a silver harp made of leaves. I will send you a picture of it, and you can interpret it however you want.
Okay. They just drop it into the old Discord,
the old Chatteroony. Spoilers,
old,
we're on Discord. Oh shit. They're gonna know.
I see.
Yeah. It's one of the cool things about being this like weird bard paladin, paladin who appreciates bard things but is not a bard, is that like protecting stories and protecting like identities of various groups in Barovia has become like one of the most important things to her, and respecting, the culture of the druids of Ravenkind and, various people around Barovia, has been like kind of another thing that she has very much taken on within the party. And it's been a cool way for her to, I think it's probably the reason why she is still connected at all to Malil, is because she's taken on the story of these people, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
And if she had a god who was any other god, it would be probably very difficult. There might be guidance in the book. Maybe Chiron can give us a sense if the book guides you towards or away from various choices like that. Because I didn't read it. I just told my DM was like, "Do you know what you want to be?" And I was like, "I've had an idea about being Ireena Kolyana from day one of me ever knowing anything about the Curse of Strahd. Here's my backstory. I wrote it 2 years ago." So I was prepared.
Like, yeah, good. Gay dads, I like it. One of them's gonna die. Really, really bad.
Yeah, he's like, "Wow, you got a lot of people you like in here," and I was like, "I know, right?"
Zoinks.
Zoinks.
I'm putting a little leather
love that. It's really cool.
Thing underneath the chainmail. If you don't mind.
Yeah, no, I don't. It's great. I'm into it. We at one point fought, I think the end of her, like her dregs of a tabard or whatever it is. We fought some kind of ooze that destroyed her armor and like removed AC from her permanently for a while till she got new armor. So she managed to get the new armor, but she just insists on wearing whatever is left of her, vestiges of Malil. Night Mother? Okay, let's see. There are only a couple of gods that are largely known about Barovia, one being the Morning Lord. Yeah, that's true. I can't remember the other, but there isn't anything stopping you in believing in another. No one answers anyway when you're in Barovia. Yeah. Yeah. In our game, there are also the 3 Fanes. You have the Mountain Fane, the I don't remember all 3 of them. I have to look at my notes, and my notes are at this point like 100 pages long. But we restored 3 places of power in various places around Barovia, and restored them to power, and that was a really cool quest line that we had in the game that is not in the book, that our DM added to give us a way to weaken Strahd's abilities ahead of time, and to make I think it was a way for him to make Strahd very difficult to deal with in the times that you meet him along the way, which is one of the best parts about Barovia, is like you know the main boss from almost minute one, and you get to develop as he develops. And so we knew some of his abilities and strengths along the way and have been able to chip away at those.
Nice.
So I thought that was a cool design. So what do you prefer, Caleb? Do you like to play or do you like to DM?
Gosh, it sounds really kind of wishy-washy, but I don't have a preference. I don't know. I don't know. They both are so satisfying in different ways.
Yeah.
They both scratch different itches. I love being able to, not necessarily be in charge of a story, but like holding the reins a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that being a DM really kind of gives you that no other gaming experience can really kind of equal. But being a willing participant and just being able to have fun and being the one that the story is really about is also just, you can't duplicate that either. It's I don't know, they're both really wonderful experiences. They're both very tactile experiences. I don't know, it's really hard to
yeah.
I don't know, it's hard to contrast them. It's just they're just so much fun.
They're very different, and I think a lot of people ask that question as like, what do you prefer? Like it has to be one or the other, and I'm definitely, in your camp where they both just offer me something so different,
Yeah, so I'm like, whatever anybody needs me to be, I'll be. It's whatever.
Like,
no, I'm serious. I'm like, I don't care. I just want to play.
Yeah. Upgrade. Welcome to the Baby Bards. Thanks for coming by today. How did you find us? It looks like you're figuring out what kind of campaign. You're trying to figure out what type of campaign, a character concept I even made art for. Oh, he would work in. I get it. Well, what are you thinking about? Tell us. I'm sure Caleb might have some wise words for you.
Probably not.
Maybe. You don't know. We out here trying to be wise, but who can say?
Who can say?
Who can say? The way that you deepen an image over time is so fascinating to me.
Well,
Like
this
a lot
is
of these-
how I work.
Yeah. It makes sense, right?
I used to be really linear, like drawing. Now I tend to be very sort of shape and value based.
I remember there was when I went to theater school, we had to take a design class, and this is such a bizarre story, but I'm going to tell it anyways. In our design class at Playwrights Horizons Theater School back in the day, we had a teacher who told us that we had to draw each other naked for one of our final assignments. So you did not have to get naked as long as you drew somebody who was naked. But he encouraged us to be free, quote unquote, which you really could not do these days. I'm not even that old, but that was a thing. And so he tells us that we should all go. So we end up in somebody's dorm room, and I am terrified of being naked in front of all these people. Now, we operated a bit like Hogwarts, where everybody was in the same group of 15 people your entire freshman year. So we had been in every single class with all of these people the entire year. We all knew each other very well. And in our particular group, everyone decided that we were all going to do it at once so that it wasn't a big deal for anyone. There were other groups who arranged it where 2 people in the group agreed to be naked well, everybody else drew them. But we were like, no, we're just gonna like sit here with our drawing pads, we're gonna draw. And I remember one of the best oh really? Helena also went there. He's like, yeah, the school shut that shit down right after my year. Good to know.
Sorry, that's really sketchy.
It is. Oh, it's totally sketchy. The teacher was not there, but it was a whole thing. We don't need to like go into my very very specific thoughts about his methods. But what I will say about this experience, which everyone consented to, even though I do think a lot of us felt like the pressure to like do it, be badass, be a badass art school student, you know, it was certainly a feeling that we felt. But I personally was glad that I had done it, because I realized in that moment when we were all naked that we were all just people with bodies, and that as I drew, much like you're talking about, I was not thinking about like, oh man, that person over there has like a horrible birthmark or like anything like that. I was just sitting in that room looking at people drawing shadow and light the entire time. Just carving out shapes with shadow and adding highlights for light. And it was a really, I think, very like formative experience for myself in terms of like body image, where I realized that like we were all just shapes. And it didn't come down. It was not like a weird sexually charged. It was the first time I was naked in a situation where it was not a sexually charged experience. So yeah, there's a story for you. Everybody,
I have a story similar to that.
Tell us.
As I may have mentioned, is it okay if I go into it?
Yes, please. Take the mic.
As I may have mentioned before, I'm an art teacher. One of the places where I've taught before is an architecture school, and and I know it doesn't sound like anything I draw here would have anything to do with architecture, but what I was one of these generalist art teachers, because when you go to an art school, you have to, you still have to take figure drawing, right? And that's what I was teaching. And most of the students in this one class were very fundamentalist, and they had never seen a naked person, and they're college age, and they had never seen a naked member of their own gender, much less anybody else of an opposite gender. Mm-hmm. And when I said, yeah, we're going to be drawing naked people, they kind of freaked out. At first, several of them didn't believe me. They were just like, lol, yeah, no, I've seen stuff like this on television and stuff, and the camera pulls away. I'm like, no, we're drawing boobs and wieners and butts.
Like, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. And they're just like, we can't do this. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, it's part of our, it's part of our religion. I'm like, look, we all I'm just like, I'm not gonna argue with you or tell you what you believe is wrong or anything like that. But you have to understand how architecture works by studying anatomy, because when you're trying to hold up a wall, it's the exact same thing as why shoulders work the way they do, why hips work the way they do.
Yeah.
You have to study existing architecture in the real world in order to really get good at imagining and inventing architecture. And I show them a bunch of pictures from like the Guggenheim in LA, which or the architect who did that. I'm not going to go into it a ton, but like they always use like fish shapes or organs from the body or something like that in order to for inspiration or stuff like that. And like this, all this stuff occurs in nature. It's not a big deal. Eventually, many of them actually did stay for the life drawing. And then, and they realized, God, this is really, really hard. When they focused now on the actual drawing itself and realized, yeah, you're right. Once you sit down and just focus on the work itself, it's literally the unsexiest thing you've ever heard. And I'm like, right? Yeah, no, it's literally, you're just sitting down and drawing mechanics, but you're trying to do it in a way that looks at least partially like it exists in a three-dimensional space with like volume and shadow and light and stuff like that.
So true. Helena, Magic Llama, let me go back up here and read this. Says, this is why I'm applying to visual arts grad school. I want to learn.
There you go.
Yeah, it's true.
Well,
Helena
good.
has been drawing so much this year, and I didn't realize that you had a separate art account on Instagram, and then I followed you, and I have to say, you didn't ask for this review, but it's happening. It's really awesome to see because you put so much time into art in the last year. Like, you've always been very interested in it, but I can see so much of your growth in the digital space in the last year, looking at all of your art on there, and it's just really awesome.
Well done, Ireena. Good job, C+.
She be out there drawing things, and it's just great. Yeah, the progress is so huge. It's crazy. I love it. Yeah, of course.
Acknowledgement when somebody is working really hard and dedicating themselves to, especially something as ephemeral as art, where really it's all about the mileage. Something it's so inspiring and it's really helpful. So telling somebody, just acknowledging somebody's effort is really huge. So huge ups to you, and for giving somebody a nice little prop like that.
Of course. I mean, I think that's one of the things that I love most about our community is that everybody kind of shares what they're working on. We have Juicy, who does drag and is constantly creating costumes and sharing their makeup process with us, and now is streaming their makeup creation on Sundays every Sunday. So that's awesome. I know Chiron is out there streaming several times a week now, their Pathfinder playthrough, amongst other things. And, I think one of the things that's great about the community around this channel is that everyone is so creative and everyone is interested in seeing what everybody is up to, but also potentially working with each other. I have hired Magic Llama to edit my YouTube videos, and I hire her to draw. I do on Patreon new homebrew magical items every month, and so part of that I think is expressing that visually. And I thought I could draw this, but now that I have a bunch of contract work, I can't really do it. It's too much for me. It's hard enough for me to do all the design and the balancing. So I ended up hiring them to do that too, and they've just turned out to be a really cool way to express. So I think one of the cool things is that when everybody tries to help each other out, all rising tide raises all ships, so to speak.
You're here. Well, not only that, but it's you're giving back to the your community a little bit by acknowledging people's gifts and people's talents, and letting them work with it and using them in at least a semi-professional way. So again,
it's true.
Freaking awesome. Kudos.
I try. Let's dig into Upgrade's character. So I had read it myself and commented in chat, but let's listen to it. It's very on theme, I think you'll find. So his name is Opatar Guro. He is a swashbuckler rogue / Pact of the Undying Warlock. He used to be a small-time swindler that sold the snake oils. He then sold to a mafia gang and got himself a good old beating, tied up, given stone shoes, throat slashed, and thrown down into the waters of a port.
We've all been there.
We've all been there. I think we can all agree we've experienced this in our lives. As he is dying, the patron of the Pact of the Undying...
Am I right? Sorry.
2020, am I right? It feels a little bit like that. The patron of the Undying asks if he wants to live and brings him back to life anyways. He is pale and his skin is tight to the bone. His throat has black ooze holding it together. He's missing an eye and his nose looks as if undead. His memory is missing, but using magic, he masks himself. He masks himself as how he used to look like normally. Yeah, that's cool. Because of memory loss, he doesn't know who he is. He loves listening to others about listening to others and about them, and once again using his newfound magic, he would be able to pretend to be somebody else. One of his threats is identity is a privilege. Don't make me take yours. Ha 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 ha.
Nice.
That's the quote. It's pretty good.
Creepy.
Yeah, that's super creepy. And your question is primarily, what kind of campaign does this fit into? He also has darkness, so he would be able to drop somewhere, make it dark, knock somebody out, possibly hide the body, and then pretend to be that person. Yeah. You also have to remember, though, that when you cast darkness, you're in it. So unless you can see magically through the darkness, your dark vision doesn't help you see it, and it also creates like a cloud of darkness. So I think it's not like you can hide in plain sight. It's like there is a bubble of darkness. That's awesome. Yeah, Devil's Sight will do that for you. Upgrade. But yeah, casting darkness is in an alley. It's like somebody would just look in that alley and see a giant like spherical void of black, which means they would know something is going on in there. I often have to remind players of that at my table because they're like, I cast darkness and then I sneak, and I'm like, okay, well, you're not really, you're sneaking through town in the middle of the day.
Right.
And you're just a giant ball of darkness moving through town.
Just this giant big sphere of black. It's just walking down friggin' Rodeo Drive. Nothing to see here.
I would argue, Upgrade, that unless it is pitch black dark, then you would still be able to see a void of darkness moving around in the night. Like if it is pitch black dark outside, no moon, no stars, no nothing, then sure. For fun and for free, cast darkness, you can't be seen. But casting darkness means you're just a giant void sphere of darkness, and that is magical darkness is very different than shadow, if that makes sense. I used to use it though. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, you're good.
I used to use it on my monk as like creating a sphere, and then for people when they were getting low on hit points, so they could step back into the darkness, and it would make it harder for them to be hit, and then they could come out and then go back in. So I would like cast it behind our casters, and they would use it as a hold, or if I just wanted to confuse people, I use my Twilight Domain on my cleric to cast darkness, and then I have the ability to see through it. So yeah, it's been pretty good. But as far as what that would work well in, I also think it's like you got to get a vibe for your table, right?
Yep.
I think that would work really well in Curse of Strahd, where there's a lot of feelings about undeath, and like how some people are like, yeah, that's pretty normal these days, and other people are like, that's the curse of the devil's Strahd. So it might be a fun kind of where do you stand situation for you, but whatever you choose, I mean, I think just making sure you fit with a party is always going to be the key. I think you could make that honestly work in any campaign as long as it's the vibe the rest of the players want to deal with, right? Because some people are like, I want all dad jokes and puns.
Right.
That's not my table. Like, I like super dark fantasy, but it's just not to say I don't like to have fun, but like I'm not as zany as that, I would say, typically. And so for me, like, that character would work well at a table that I was at. But for somebody who's like, I can't even think of something, that's how not my bag it is to come up with like the most ridiculous character with a crazy pun name, and like make a character that's completely based on a pun.
Yeah, if you're in the mood for shits and giggles, then that's fine. If you've got a bunch of nerdy comedians like like whom I work with or play with rather on Awful Neutral, that's totally anybody's bag. Literally, sky's the limit. Play the weirdest thing you can think of. Nobody, that's the whole point behind
a game like that.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. I was saying that I would love to play in a game like that just to free myself from the responsibility to have to be good at it, if that makes sense.
See, I've never played in a game where, like what you were describing, where everybody's like, okay, so what would be appropriate here? Literally, the last several games I've always played are just like, okay, so I'm going to walk down the street and go to Fantasy Burger King and get myself a Fantasy Whopper, and then lol, we'll go slay a dragon, or something like that.
Super fun though.
Or literally, like, there's there'll be a shopkeeper who's guarded by a golem canary or something like that. The idea is like exactly what Anne said. It depends on, get a feel for the table, get a feel for what people want to get out of the story, a feel for what the tone is, like who would be the audience if this were a show.
Mm-hmm. I think the tone is really important, because if everybody in the group is like having a great time being zany, you are likely not going to enjoy being the wet blanket that ruins everybody's fun. Or maybe you will, but like that certainly
that would suck for them.
Been fun for me in the past when I've had to be like the straight man to everyone's craziness. I think the closest has ever been is that as serious as like I take Irina in our Strahd game, she's been in some like kind of silly situations that are funny when compared to the fact that she kind of is the straight man, and that is the first time I have been the straight man in that situation. We have a ranger. Our party is a ranger who is now a werewolf and can control that. And we have a cat who is a wizard, and I don't mean it to backseat. She's just a cat. She's a cat, and her name is Bluebell, and she is the spirit of a little girl who, like, her mom was a wizard and was trying to like transfer the spirit of her dying child into a new vessel and kind of fucked it up, and she became a cat. And so that is ridiculous, but the scenes that we've played with it have been tremendously serious, but sometimes I remember that she's a cat and it's all very silly. It's all very silly when you think about this cat being an arcane genius.
Just remember that part of the fun part about D&D is that, everything does depend on a dice roll. There's this really interesting mechanic behind it, which, the probability is that things are going to go pear-shaped regardless of how good you are at one point or another. And so what you want to do is figure out a way of, ahead of time, how would your character react to rolling a 1, on a, and what would be appropriate for the story that you're telling. It all comes back to serving the narrative and making sure that everybody has a good time. There's this really gorgeous way of explaining it, that's that you see, that people that are used to improv describe it. It's called saying yes and, where you have to basically you just have to go with whatever anybody else says and sort of build on it. And if you say no, that's not real, I don't want that to happen, then you're not really playing the rules. It's not really a game then. What you're really doing is playing pretend, and you're not really playing with other people.
Yeah.
Which is childish. You can do this and still have fun, but again, everybody sort of has to agree ahead of time to figure out what kind of game you want, what kind of story do you want to play. So yeah, it's exactly what Anne was just saying, just making sure that everybody, is cool. Everybody's, understands what everybody else wants to get out of the game, and just don't be a dick. Just try not to sabotage anybody else's good time.
For sure. Oh, great! You should join our Discord community. You seem awesome and fun. Join us. Do it. I also threw Awful Neutral Podcast in the Facebook page in chat. So if anybody wants to catch up with Caleb there, go do so. Go do it.
Do it.
And Caleb is Drawing is your Twitter handle, but I believe it's also your Twitch channel, and you've just started streaming?
Yeah, I took it like a 6-month hiatus because I was teaching so much and doing a bunch of art direction and stuff like that. So, but I'm back onto it now, and my daughter, who's 9, is sort of helping me get back in the swing of things. So,
amazing.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun, and I love doing it. Yeah, so go ahead, and if you're interested, go check it out. Just did a Grogu and Yoda drawing just 2 days ago. It was pretty great.
It's so cute. Caleb is drawing. Throwing it in the chat. Boom.
Thank you.
It's happened. Now you are hot. We talked about this a little bit before we went live, but we should talk about it now too. You guys are hot off the success of a Kickstarter for Gods of Metal Ragnarok, which is what we were chatting about the last time you were joining us here. How does it feel to have raised just under $140,000 for an RPG?
It feels pretty good. This is I think the third Kickstarter that I've been involved in with Hunters. It's always fun to sort of see how people want to react and want to help create a more diverse and more I don't know, sort of creator-based market for games. The one we did right before this was Alice is Missing, which is another really, just totally cool, award-winning role-playing game that's basically meant to be played entirely silently or over text. You can do it entirely. You can do the whole thing on your phone, and it works
I brought
great.
up to my channel that I really wanted to play it, and they were like, "You'd be terrible."
It's not for the faint of heart because it deals with a lot of crazy stuff. Basically, there's a lot. There's intimacy. There's betrayal. It's one of these games that sort of bases itself off of, life in high school, and sometimes you can trust people and sometimes you can't. And again, it's there's a lot of improv based in it. Occasionally somebody, you'll pull a card will be pulled that says so and so just texted you, and it turns out that they've spilled your greatest secret. And if that happens to be you, then you have to go with it. It's very, and of course behind all of this is the fact that you're one of your best friends or your ex-girlfriend or your secret lover or your worst enemy, Alice, has disappeared. And the whole game is played out in about 90 minutes. And it's just a fascinating piece of narrative fiction. It's really just a work of art. It's just so cool.
I used to do so much text RP that I would really love to play Alice is Missing, because I feel like I would have so much fun with the recreating text conversations aspect of it, and the power to portray through the way someone writes or speaks is a new table experience that I don't think you see a lot.
Well, if that's your bag, if you want to try that out, then I definitely suggest it. But it is a very intimate experience because it's just you with your phone or your text. They have a Roll20 ability to play it as well. But to be honest with you, it's all you need is a phone and a bunch of friends. I would suggest at least 4 or 5 friends. That way there's enough for everybody to, there are enough secrets for everybody to spill.
That might be a fun, how many is too many friends?
Let me check that out. And I got to art direct the game, which was really cool because
oh, that's awesome.
one of the things that people have mentioned the most about it is the artwork, and almost all the artwork done either by me or by a former student of mine named Julianne Creep, and it's just a beautiful piece of work. I'm really proud of it. Or I shouldn't say proud of it because it's not. It was very much a collaborative effort, but I feel really good about the whole experience, to be honest with you.
Heck yeah. Hold on, I am going to find the site here so I can throw it in.
So yeah, it goes between. Get a PDF of it. It's $11.
Here you go, everybody. Check it out if you're curious about Alice is Missing. I just threw the link in chatty. So that was so you said you've done 3 Kickstarters with them. So that was number 2. So which was number 1?
The first one was a children's book.
Right.
The ABCs of RPGs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really fun. And it was just a really fun experience. Showing, and getting everybody's tons of people's feedback. Everybody's like, oh, why don't they make more stuff for kids? And it turned out turning into 2 books. It was really cool.
It's really cool.
They say it's a single session is 2 to 3 hours. That is true, because you do need a bit of time at the beginning to sort of set it up and make sure if you've never played it before, it could take between 2 and 3 hours. If you have played it before, it'll take much less time because everybody sort of understands the mechanics and everything.
Yeah.
But the game itself has to take place in around 90 minutes.
Good Lord.
It's timed.
What you just did it again, goddammit, Caleb.
I'm so sorry.
No, you just transformed what my brain reads as the leather texture of the glove just by that one piece of shadow there. What am I supposed to do when you're out here killing it daily?
You're very kind.
This. So cool. Man, shapes are so hard. I guess the other thing you're doing is you're switching brush types too to create different textures.
No, this is I'm blending, but this has all been done with one brush.
I don't. You're illegal.
I am.
Look
100%.
at this sweet Requiem. Oh, what a sweet boy. He deserved better.
Well, apparently he continually deserves better because he's dies every time you summon him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've summoned Requiem as a horse primarily, but I've also seen him as an undead bear, an undead elk.
Oh crap, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, there's
he can't ride. It's just an animal that you
summon steed is your deal, and Requiem is like her most used form, but she tried to make Requiem into an elk one time because she was like, I don't think she realized how... I think she thought the first time that she summoned the horse that, like, Strahd was there, and so he messed with the magic. When it was Requiem the first time, she's like, well, I'm not going to put him through that again. I'll summon him as something else. But then it just turns out that whatever she makes him, it's all terrible. It's all awful. So, yeah.
If there's no other reason to get rid of Strahd, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely up top. She's going to be like, for years, you've hunted these women, but most of all, you fucked with my horse. Like, that's gonna be the final straw.
He's going to be sitting in purgatory somewhere. He'll be like, man, I should not have fucked with your horse. Why?
Why am I like this?
Why am I like this? Oh. Why can't I have nice things? I should have never
messed with her horse. I should have known. Like all other characters, she is a horse girl. Everyone's a horse girl in D&D, and if you're not, you're doing it wrong. There, I said it. There's a wrong way to play D&D, and it's not being a horse girl.
If you are a boy, you are also a horse girl.
It's
literally,
true.
you are a girl that is also a horse. It's called a centaur.
So, I love the terminology horse girl. It's one of my favorite things in the world. It is one of our avatars in umbilical descent that they had to fight was called horse girl.
Oh my god, that's right.
She was a centaur, and Magic Llama drew her afterwards, and I was like, this is my final form. It's so horrifying. And
I think you mean beautiful, but okay.
I love the concept of like girls who are so obsessed with horses growing up being a very particular like kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely like I had a little stable to play with like Breyer horses and stuff, and I did not have a horse. But I definitely was a horse girl who like wanted to take riding lessons and everything that you didn't really do in the city of Chicago. But yeah, the more I bring those aesthetics into D&D, as far as like it's time for my party to choose what their mounts are going to be when they finally get to that little lovely choice, then
and you literally make it the entire evening.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. They're like, what colors are the horses? Can mine have braided flowers in its mane? Why, yes, it can. Like,
mine has gray eyes, and it's got a beautiful flash in the front of it, and it looks like my cat, and it's really, and it's basically it's just like me. It's just a horse that's me.
It's just me as a horse. Yeah, it's just really so fantastic. Chiron says he's just showing off now, but I'm here for it.
Ooh, the horse?
No, you. I mean, unless you also want to be the horse.
I guess so. But if I was a horse, I'd probably be. I mean, let's face it. I would definitely be this horse.
This horse is pretty metal. Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. I guess you're right. Pretty metal horse. You're a metal horse, yes you are.
Such a sweet boy.
You sweet undead boy.
One of the things that I think is really cool about this horse coming back as an undead horse, because this is some cool Strahd lore, is that there was a group of knights who... I'm going to mess this up, but it's fine, because then I won't spoil anyone. But the baseline is they started to try to break away from Strahd. And of course, due to betrayal and someone who was working with them who was actually then turned out working for Strahd, it did not go well, and they were all slain. And now these knights are cursed to live in ghastly forms. But they were basically like the riders of Rohan. They all had horses, so they had these heroic horses that they ride into battle that are undead horses. So Requiem got to find like a new life where he was respected for being an undead horse, which was kind of cool, because she was like, I'm sorry I did this to you, my friend. But then he got to find, everyone always thinks that he's like one of those horses that's lauded for standing against Strahd.
So it's like the Riders of Rohan, but also like the Nazgul as well.
Yeah, it's 6 of one, half a dozen. Throw them in a basket and Yahtzee.
The Riders of Razgul. There you go.
That's amazing. Why didn't I think of that? Incredible.
It's sorry, I'm a dad. That's all I think about.
The Riders of Razgul.
See, you got to understand, dads make these terrible jokes in order to sort of disguise or blanket the pain, the existential like angst that we're constantly in. One might even say we're dad inside.
Yikes!
Oh,
that was a lot. What you just did.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, I'm in this stream and I don't like it.
They're like, I'm out. That's it for today.
I didn't want this to be. This was supposed to be fun. Since I'm streaming, my wife is making dinner with my kids, and they're cooking something that just smells really, really yummy.
What does it smell like? Tell us everything.
Give
us a word picture.
I think they're doing fajitas, I want to say.
Ooh.
So
White people taco night.
Yeah. I went to this really fun butcher shop. I love grilling. I love cooking, making really fun dishes. My wife is Australian, so I get to. We live in America, so it's she kind of laments going to like Sydney Fish Market and stuff like that. All these fun little locations that are really famous on the other side of the world and don't really exist where we live, sadly. But every so often I get to do something fun and kind of Australian, like making some kind of like Malaysian food. They eat a lot of Asian cuisine, being that they're so close to it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I get to make, like a couple days ago, I made laksa. You ever had laksa?
Yes, it's good.
It's hella good. And it was, I'm like the first time I ever had it, her aunt made it for me. And it was so freaking spicy that I was crying and sweating. But it was so delicious. I could not stop. I can't stop. Yeah. I could not stop. I was just like, it's so great. I'm just like weeping, like, like I just got my hand smashed by a hammer. And everybody's like, dude, stop. You're hurting yourself. I'm like, no, I can't. It's so good. So good. Can't stop.
I had Japanese curry last night that really felt like that, where I was like, it's so good and I need to keep eating this because I need to sustain myself, but also I'm dying.
But also it's killing me. you can like imagine like a health bar over your head. It's like pew, pew. Slowly disappearing.
Can I ask for something?
Yes, please.
You can say no. Can we, unless this is already a plan, can we put a little wing on the back of her boot?
Oh my God, the wings. Oh, I'm such a ding dong. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. Don't apologize. Look at what you're doing, you crazy talented human.
No, but it was in your thing here. I need to.
I mean, it wasn't the creative brief that you did receive before the
All right, so chainmail, got that. Okay, tattered tabard. Okay, good.
It's good.
This isn't really a tabard though. This is just like it's literally like, I mean, a tabard almost really covers the whole thing.
I like what you've done. I think you've interpreted it appropriately.
It's literally like the only thing left is like a ripped up t-shirt.
No, but like that's the whole point, right? Is that she's like, I will not take this off. I don't care that it isn't doing anything.
All right.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I am using more than one brush. This is a little watercolor brush. That I use to sort of like layer in my values to sort of, I tend to really, really like transparent media, mainly because it is so sort of nuanced and you can get a lot out of it.
Look at her, she's so cool.
So yeah, I tend to use watercolors a lot, or I actually thought about doing just graphite on today's stream. Maybe next time I will. If that's cool with you, can I come back and do?
You can. Yes, you're welcome to come back here and draw cool shit anytime.
All right, like I will draw cool shit, but I will draw it with a pencil.
With a graph, yeah. Do a different one.
I will do a different one.
Look at this poor fucking horse.
I just keep adding more holes to it. It's just.
No, I love it. I love it so
more
much.
Pits. Porous little buboes and torn flesh.
Again, this whole, it wasn't until today that I really thought of the fact that she is just holding on. Like, if you are a paladin who makes it to the end of Curse of Strahd, holding on to your faith, like, this is what you would look like. Your horse, undead. Tabard, a suggestion. Yeah, like, attitude, bad. Like,
wrecked.
It's so good. It's so correct in every way.
It's just wrecked.
Yeah, like, she's just like, they're like, you can take that off. She's like, no. I will not do it. It is all I have left of Miliel.
No, like literally, it's just like it's a piece of cloth with two holes in it now, and they're like, and she's like, no,
It's not
it
what
is
it
mine.
is, it's what it stands
It's
for.
what it was. It's what it means to me.
It is the last thing I have left of my god, and I will not take it off. Not for no one, and certainly not
But
for
I've lost
Strahd.
everything. I've lost my home. I've
It's
lost
more
my
French the
father.
more we do it. We're like,
Lost
this world is
my
shit.
both my gay dads. I have lost real dad who also was fake.
It's literally
Pretty
like,
much everything
I
sucks.
have the big joke in our game is like, how many more dads can we kill? Like, because I've gone through it several times, and now the one person that is actually my family.
You
has
see up
run
there, you
off
see
to
like even
Castle
like a
Ravenloft.
terrible game that wears the crap out of you, like literally emotionally drains you, like friggin' Ravenloft or Curse of Strahd. Even it can be turned into Monty Python if
It's so true.
if enough ridiculous crap happens. And the thing is, nobody's in charge of it because it can literally be like up to a roll. That's it.
Chiron says, it looks like a mark of sanity and you're running out of it, and that's exactly the intent.
Not too far off the mark there.
Yeah.
I do think they need a little bit more shine on the old Cabeza. So Cabeza. All right, and then we will put then I'll put the wings on her bootses, and then we'll be
wing.
good.
She is almost never on the ground, which is so dumb. She's this hulking woman, and she's like, no. If I don't have to walk, I'm not going to. I fly in defiance of your rules.
Yes.
It's so cool to see your take and your style on this. Because I had commissioned a friend to draw my token. And it's really cool to see like the version of Irina before I knew anything really about her, quote unquote, because I hadn't played her ever. She was just an idea, and now like who she's become. That's such a cool bookmark for me. So
cool. Thank you. That's such a great thing to say.
Yeah. Well, it's really fun because I feel really strongly about this character for a lot of reasons, but
because she's a horse girl.
Because she's a horse girl, number one. But it is really awesome to have had her interpreted by 3 different artists who all have very different styles, if that makes sense. Because my friend who's in the game has such a cartoony style, and her over-the-top Irina is just hair and a half skirt and a little bit of armor and a giant sword. But like that still reads like this character is still like all of these things are true. Like all of the above is true.
It's all canon. It all works.
It's so cool to see everyone's like interpretation of all the different like main features. That just pleases me greatly.
Me too.
I'll have to send you some of the frog art because it's really it's really stellar. I also have another where she is the pumpkin and she just has her hands on her face, on her pumpkin face, and she's just looking into a mirror going, I cannot live like this. And it really gets me every time.
I think I need to change this. Something looked weird, a little off. This is one thing I really do like about digital art is that you can always mess with it a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
This is liquefy. It's one of the things you can do in Procreate. Something's on its own layer. You can just sort of warp it. It's, you sort of imagine that it's on a grid, and that the vectors of the grid, the places where the corners are intersecting, are just being moved around a little bit.
Caleb, she's so cool. If
Thank
she dies,
you.
we'll always have February 25th. She dies horribly in service of this.
Oh, are you talking about your character or the horse? Because the horse is dead.
The horse is
like
long gone. But if Ireena dies, I'll feel like she got a cool send off.
Hasn't she already dead? She's already dead.
Well, yeah, but
she's
for
been
real
dead.
dies. For real dies again.
Oh.
A second time.
Oh well, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, we always have this dream.
It's really interesting because to me, it feels like she's died, so in a way everybody is always really worried about her because they're like, well, she's always like up in front, like, is she gonna die again? And she's like, I mean, it didn't take last time. How hard is living then? Like, she's just kind of
damn.
Like, everything sucks here, so like if I die again, there's always a chance I can like come back, and now she can bring people back, so she has a very different opinion on like death being kind of a part of everything and not necessarily final, especially given that death isn't the end for basically anything in Barovia. I think she the thing though is I don't think she's so nihilistic, because ultimately she doesn't want to die and leave somebody else with the responsibility of wrapping this up.
Right.
But if she had to be the period on the end of the final sentence of Strahd's story, she'd be happy to go that way, I think.
Here.
Yeah.
There's this really great line from the Three Musketeers. They're like all three of them are, or actually no, it was from the book The Four Musketeers. Sorry. They and D'Artagnan are defending this castle by themselves.
Right.
And one of them says, they're just like, why are we fighting these guys? Because they want to say their prayers in Latin, and we want to say ours in French. I mean, seriously, why are we even doing this? And the guy's like, and I think it was Aramis, the one who wants to become a priest. He looks at him and he's like, oh my gosh, you're thinking about this way, way too much. Let's just go. I mean, is life worth so many complications and so many questions? And the guy whom he's speaking to, Porthos, says, no, of course not. And he's like, exactly. Let's just go and die where we're supposed to. He's like, yeah. You're like, no, you're right, absolutely right. Nope, sorry. I don't know. I got it in my head, and they're like, yeah, don't ever do that again. We're soldiers. Our job is to go and die where we're told to. And he's like, no, You're right.
That's very
true. I keep thinking about that. I'm just like, that's so such an interesting way of looking at it. It's just like, yes, they do have plans. Yes, they do want to, they have destinies that they want to fulfill. But at the end, they realize, we're just very, very lucky. And occasionally, that luck's going to run out. So live in the moment, enjoy it. And if your boss tells you you have to go die on this hill, well, that's going to be your story. I know it sounds a little morbid.
No.
But
it's
actually
it's
actually a really sweet sentiment.
Do you prefer to work in a digital medium? Do you miss working in traditional mediums or no?
Oh, I do both fairly often.
Yeah.
Like for example, let me show you another one just real quick.
Yeah.
All right, so here's a picture I did for Call of Cthulhu, which is another role-playing game published by Chaosium, super duper popular. All right, most of this is digital. Let me take off layer after layer after layer until we're reduced to black and white. Okay, this is almost entirely done with pencil.
Wow. And then did you scan it in?
Yeah, I just scanned it in and just started layering, like I said before, with translucent colors.
Mm-hmm. How cool is that?
And just
Guys,
dropping.
if you're not on stream, then you're missing out. This is the way.
The idea is just to try and, figure out where your light's coming from, get your shapes right. That's it.
That is truly horrifying. Don't like it.
I thought you liked
It's
horror.
terrible. I do, but I'm also scared. I feel like those two things can be related.
Fair enough.
It's interesting because the unknowable horror of Cthulhu is really something I always get very excited about. It's something I tend to play with in games like 10 Candles and
Oh yeah.
the what you don't see on camera, quote unquote, is often so much more tricksome with your mind than what you can physicalize. And that's one of the things I love most about playing horror games and running horror games. But it's very funny because I think I was talking with Chiron about this yesterday on Discord, but I legitimately am just absolutely terrified of certain horror elements.
Zombies.
And zombies don't really bother me because I'm really good with a gun and a bow. But I think the insurmountable odds of a zombie apocalypse, that those people scare me. Zombies scare me less. But what zombies would cause people to become, I think it would be very scary. I think stuff with ghosts really freaks me out for various reasons, but I think one of them is that I have a really overactive imagination, so I try to be very thoughtful and realistic about debunking things and stuff like that. But I've had some weird experiences in my life that I can't quite explain, and so that is very much this weird door that, my terms, I have to open it if I'm going to be playing in a ghostly or ghastly RPG game. But I do open that door every so often and have a really good time just being like, yes, these things do exist and there's no question about it, and now let's do something about it.
I got you.
What's your favorite genre of RPG to be in? I mean, we talked about vampire.
Oh, I've always had a soft spot for Call of Cthulhu. I've always loved it. As problematic as it is, but the idea, behind the best thing that was written by the author that inspired it was that the strongest human emotion is fear, and the greatest kind of fear is fear of the unknown. And you're absolutely right. I feel like that's it in a nutshell. That's why it's so challenging, why it works so well in certain media, and it seems so hard to capture in other media. It's not visual storytelling, it's literally emotional storytelling. And it's very strong, it's very palpable, because when you can't define a thing, it's, oh, my iPad's about to die. It's really, really, I mean, it doesn't mean that it's any that it's been weakened, or that it's been that it's any less powerful just because it's something that hasn't been defined.
Yeah.
If anything else, it's actually stronger because it hasn't been defined. Part of our nature as human beings is to try and put labels to everything that we see, to explore. It's one of the things that we've always had going for us. And the idea that you've got this, this entropic universe that ultimately doesn't care whether you survive or not, or that if you name everything you can, or try to find a way to explain the world the way that it is, because there are things out there to whom none of that matters. There are literally, things that are so old and so ghastly and so terrifying and so inexplicable that natural law does not apply. And that, that idea, that it defies our nature. And that's the scary.
Yeah.
But anyway, plus tentacles and horse hooves and all
plus
that.
Tentacles, plus tentacles and horse girls and no.
Horse girls? Yes, please.
More horse girls and horror. Horror horse girls. I have
Horror
been having a
girls.
great time playing Vaesen, which is by Free League Publishing, which is a Nordic horror experience. Lost Mountain Saga, for anybody who is not familiar, is the show. I will throw it in chat. Lost Mountain Saga is, I think, on episode 5 at this point of our first season. Or I think there are 8 episodes total. So there was like a 3-episode prologue, and then you launch right into the story. It is super fun and has a lot of cool ambient backdrop and music, and just feels very, very lived in. My friend Ellie, who's the DM, is also the producer on it, and it just is great. Oop, don't go there. I put lost.com in there for no reason.
Sick.
lostmountainsaga.com. Go there. That's where you want to go, people. That's where
all right.
you
Well,
want to go.
Ladies and germs, it's been fun, but my thing is about to die, so I need to
That has to
skedaddle.
be the end of the show. It's over. Well, Caleb, thank you so much. You guys can see on screen where to find Caleb. Thank you for joining us. I'm so excited that you might even come back again sometime. We'll have some fun graphite pencil time. And in the meantime, I don't know what that means, but in the meantime,
Fun graphite pencil time is my favorite kind of time.
my favorite is that Wild Mountain time. In the meantime,
Oh
get
my
out
God,
there,
I love that
guys,
movie.
and live your quest life. And we'll see you back here on Tuesday.
Quest life?
No, wait, tomorrow. I'm sorry, tomorrow at 6 p.m. when we do Around the Hearth podcast, a TTRPG, a talk show hosted by me. We're talking about introducing beginners to Dungeons and Dragons tomorrow. So see you there tomorrow, here tomorrow at 6 p.m. See you guys. Bye.
Here.